Chapter 32-23. This brat is a little sinister. He actually raised the price and stopped competing. That brat from the Cold Moon Demon Palace probably wants to kill someone now. Interesting. It looks like the grudge between these two brats is getting deeper and deeper. The Cold Moon Demon Palace isn't weak. I wonder if that brat can contend against them. Seeing Emo Qingyun's actions, the crowd was curious, waiting to see a good show. Seeing the crowd pointing at him, Wan Qinqi's expression turned cold. He gnashed his teeth and glared at Emo Qingyun. Brat, you have guts. You actually dare to provoke me like this. I hope you won't regret it when the time comes. Wan Qinqi's warning and threat made Emo Qingyun's expression turn cold. You seem to think too highly of yourself. If it weren't for your status, you would already be a dead man by now for provoking me time and time again. When Emo Qingyun said this, the expressions of the people in the auction hall all tensed up. They had never imagined that Emo Qingyun wouldn't be afraid in the face of Wan Qinqi's pressure. While the crowd was shocked, the way Wan Qinqi looked at Emo Qingyun also changed greatly. If one looked carefully, they would discover that there was some fear in Wan Qinqi's eyes. In his opinion, if Emo Qingyun dared to be so arrogant, he probably had a great background. While Emo Qingyun and Wan Qinqi were arguing, an old man from the trading company walked onto the auction stage and said, "Two young masters, I am the manager of the auction house. Please give me some face and let this matter end here. How about it?" Hearing the manager's request, Emo Qingyun and Wan Qinqi nodded, temporarily suppressing their conflict. Seeing that Emo Qingyun and Wan Qinqi were no longer arguing, the old man in charge of the auction continued to introduce the next item. The item being auctioned now was a quasi-god king war saber that emitted intense Great Tao origin fluctuations. After taking out the auction item, the old man coughed softly and said, "Everyone, the next item to be auctioned is a quasi-god king grade battle saber. However, this saber is not as simple as it seems on the surface. In the process of forging it, the artificer was ambushed by his enemies. As a result, this saber is only half forged. If he finds a powerful artificer to refine it, it will become a God King level saber. I believe that everyone should have a clear understanding of the value of this saber by now. The starting bid is 1,000,000 heaven crystals. Weapons were extremely popular no matter where and at any time. The old man's words caused a commotion. I bid 1,000,000. I bid 2,000,000. I bid 8,000,000. Very soon, the price of this battle saber soared to 3,000,000 heaven crystals. However, Emo Qingyun did not make a move. With his powerful physique, he did not really need a weapon. In the end, a peak celestial god powerhouse won this battle saber with 8,000,000 heaven crystals. Seeing this result, Emo Qingyun's heart trembled. These guys are really rich. A battle saber actually sold for 8,000,000 heaven crystals. After the battle saber was auctioned off, the next auction item was quickly brought up. This was a mystic ability secret manual, an extremely ancient secret manual. After taking out the secret manual, the old man in charge of the auction said, "Everyone, the item to be auctioned off now is an ancient mystic ability. As for what kind of mystic ability it is, we are also not very clear. Some parts of it are already damaged. However, from reading between the lines of this mystic ability, we can tell that its grade is not below the God King level. The starting bid for this mystic ability is 10,000,000 heaven crystals." When the old man's words fell, everyone in the auction house began to whisper to each other. If it's a God King mystic ability secret realm, 10,000,000 heaven crystals is not expensive. But it's just a remnant manual, yet it costs 10,000,000 heaven crystals. That's clearly a little excessive. You can't say that either. Perhaps the complete mystic abilities grade has reached the God Emperor level? God Emperor level is also useless. Right now, it's just a remnant manual. Whether or not it can be cultivated is also a problem. From everyone's conversation, one could hear their hesitation. If this remnant manual could not be cultivated, spending 10,000,000 heaven crystals to buy it would be tantamount to a huge loss. Just as everyone was whispering and did not open their mouths to bid, Mo Qingyun's expression was startled. He said, "This mystic ability secret manual seems to have an inexplicable attraction to me. It seems to have some resonance with the gate of good fortune." This discovery truly shocked Mo Qingyun quite a bit, arousing interest in this secret manual. The gate of good fortune had always been too mysterious to him. He had never figured out its origins. Now that this secret manual had a resonance with the gate of good fortune, this seemed to have some help in unraveling the secrets of the gate of good fortune. "I'll bid 10 million heaven crystals." The moment Mo Qingyun thought in his heart, he no longer hesitated and immediately quoted his price. When Mo Qingyun quoted his price, it immediately attracted the attention of others. They all looked over at him. "This little fellow is very interesting. Seems like he's only interested in strange things. Some hedonistic young masters all have this kind of hobby. Looks like he should be some sex young master." From his confrontation with Wan Qinchi previously, it's enough to prove this point. He's still too young and easily acts on impulse. Everyone discussed. While everyone was discussing Mo Qingyun, Wan Qinchi's expression was dark. He turned his head to look at Mo Qingyun and said, "Kid, you want to compete for this mystic ability secret manual? Dream on. I'll bid 15 million." Wan Qinchi's words fell, and he quoted a price. Toward Wan Qinchi's action, Mo Qingyun smiled indifferently and said, "Haven't suffered enough just now? Still want to do it again?" Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Wan Qinchi's expression twitched, becoming somewhat unnatural. The others by the side also did not know whether to laugh or cry when they saw this scene. After rebuking Wan Qinchi, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and said, "I'll bid 20 million heaven crystals." Looking at the price that Mo Qingyun quoted, the surrounding people all exchanged glances, each and every one of them revealing expectant expressions. This situation at present was so similar to just now. It was simply like reenacting it. If Wan Qinchi quoted a price, Mo Qingyun might very likely back down. Under everyone's gazes, Wan Qinchi gritted his teeth and said, 21 million heaven crystals. Quoting his price, Wan Qinchi's face was dark. He glared at Mo Qingyun and said in a cold voice, "Humph, I don't believe that you'll still back down this time." 25 million heaven crystals. Toward Wan Qinchi's wrath, Mo Qingyun did not care in the slightest. He quoted a price, neither hurriedly nor slowly, and said, "Played too small just now. How about we play a big one now?" Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the corners of Wan Qinchi's mouth twitched, his face revealing a hint of panic. He was somewhat uncertain right now. Mo Qingyun really wanted to bid for it, or was he deliberately setting him up? Chapter 32:24. Humph. Don't get cocky. Be careful that extreme joy begets sorrow. Wan Qinchi gave a cold snort and did not continue fighting with Mo Qingyun. The number of heaven crystals on him was already less than 20 million. Even if he wanted to fight, there was no way. If by any chance Mo Qingyun did not bid later, he would not be wasting heaven crystals. He might even be pursued by the trading company for not having enough heaven crystals. Not having enough heaven crystals and still raising the price crazily. This was causing trouble. Seeing that Wan Qinchi did not continue to raise the price, everyone felt a little disappointed. A good show ended so quickly. Wan Qinchi gave up bidding. The others did not fight either. In their view, although this divine ability secret manual was powerful, its value was not high. Ordinary great deities and celestial deity realm people might not be able to comprehend the mysteries inside. Divine King and Divine Emperor level powerhouses all had Divine King level divine abilities. There was no need to comprehend this. Everyone did not fight for the divine ability secret manual. Mo Qingyun snatched it into his hands with 20 million heaven crystals. Seeing Mo Qingyun pay the heaven crystals, Jiang Yunxi and the rest by the side all revealed shocked expressions. They all did not expect that Mo Qingyun's wealth was so astonishing. The heaven crystals on him were actually several tens of millions. Under everyone's gazes, Mo Qingyun flipped open the divine ability secret manual, preparing to give it a simple look. Buzz, simply sweeping a glance over the Divine Ability secret manual. Mo Qingyun clearly sensed that the Gate of Good Fortune had some reaction. At the same time, on the pages of the Divine Ability secret manual, a hint of golden light even bloomed. When such a situation occurred, Mo Qingyun's expression trembled, and he hurriedly put away the Divine Ability secret manual. The logic of not showing off one's wealth, he was still very clear. If the Divine Ability secret manual had an astonishing performance, it would definitely arouse other people's curiosity. It might even arouse other people's covetousness. Although he had quite a few trump cards on him, trump cards were ultimately trump cards. It could not be his normal means back then. If a Divine King Realm powerhouse attacked, he could rely on trump cards to deal with it. But if there were multiple Divine King Realm powerhouses, after the Divine Ability Secret Realm was bid on by Mo Qingyun, the other items were sent up, causing everyone to fight over them. The following auction item was a defensive armor. It was not even as powerful as the 100 Battle Heaven splitting armor. More importantly, its price soared to 20 million. It already exceeded Mo Qingyun's range. After bidding for the Divine Ability Secret Manual, the remaining heaven crystals on Mo Qingyun's body were only around 10 million. Looking at the current situation, even if there's something that I want, I don't have the strength to bid for it. We'll leave 9 Evil City. Look, you all. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Jiang Xingfeng and the others nodded. They don't want to stay any longer. Young Sectmaster, that kid left. Should we chase after them? Seeing Mo Qingyun and the others leave, a person behind Wan Qinchi asked Wan Qinchi for his opinion. Hearing this person's question, Wan Qinchi's face darkened. Humph! How can they leave so easily after offending me? After Wan Qinchi said that, he led his subordinates out of the auction house. Seeing Wan Qinchi and the others' actions, some people in the auction house immediately became interested. Wan Qinchi chased after them. There's going to be a good show soon. There's nothing to see in this auction. Let's go out and watch the show. I'm also very curious. That kid dared to go against Wan Qinchi. What exactly is he relying on? Some of the powerhouses in the auction house exchanged a few simple words before leaving quietly. Mo Qingyun quickly sensed that Wan Qinchi and the others were following them. A cold smile appeared on his face. He had already expected such a situation. The Cold Moon Demon Sect's people have caught up. They probably want to deal with me. Discovering Wan Qinchi and the others behind, Mo Qingyun did not think too much and immediately informed Jiang Yunxi and the others beside him. Knowing that Wan Qinchi and the others had caught up, Jiang Yunxi and the others tensed up. Worry appeared in their eyes. The strength of Wan Qinchi and the others was much stronger than Wang Huang and the others. It was not what they could contend with. Jiang Xingfeng's old face was tense. I just asked. The Cold Moon Demon Palace is not far from here. It's at the Cold Moon, Een Mountain, 10,000 miles away. Their sect master is a Divine King expert. If he wants to kill us, our situation will be very bad. Hearing Jiang Xingfeng's words, the worry of Jiang Yunxi and the others immediately intensified. Mo Qingyun thought for a while and said, Wan Qinchi and the others' target is me. We'll split up. After I deal with them, I'll think of a way to meet up with you all. And Chun, you and Miss Jiang travel together. It'll be easier for me to find you when the time comes. And Chun nodded calmly when he heard Mo Qingyun's instructions. However, Jiang Yunxi's face was filled with worry. She said, Mr. Mo, isn't it too dangerous for you to face Wan Qinchi and the others alone? Seeing Jiang Yunxi's expression, Jiang Xingfeng knew that she was worried. Mo Qingyun had so many trump cards, let alone Wan Qinchi and the others. Even divine kings would find it difficult to injure him. Jiang Xingfeng said, Yunxi, with Mo Qingyun's origin of ways, he won't be in any danger when facing Wan Qinchi and the others. On the contrary, if we follow him, we'll only become a burden to him. Jiang Yunxi did not say anything else when she heard Jiang Xingfeng's words. She nodded worriedly. Under everyone's discussion, they left 9 Evil City. Mo Qingyun separated from Jiang Yunxi and the others. They've separated. That kid isn't with them. That's good. It'll be easier for us to deal with them. In my opinion, those people must be afraid of the young sect master's prestige. They don't dare to be with that kid anymore. Some heavenly generals are actually going against the young sect master. They're simply courting death. Wan Qinqi's lackeys all started to flatter him. Wan Qinqi sneered as he listened to his lackey's flattery. Wan Long, you go follow the beauty. I'll join you after I've dealt with that brat. Yes. Wan Long responded and went to follow Jiang Yunxi and the others. After instructing Wan Long, Wan Qinqi smiled coldly and chased after Mo Qingyun. Seeing Wan Qinqi chase after Mo Qingyun, the experts who had rushed out of the auction house all followed behind him. Sensing Wan Qinqi's pursuit, Mo Qingyun smiled coldly. His eyes were filled with mockery. Wan Qinqi wanted to kill him. In the end, it was hard to say who would be the hunter. Chapter 32:25. With Mo Qingyun's speed, it was easy for him to avoid being caught by Wan Qinqi. If it wasn't for the fact that Mo Qingyun didn't want to shake them off, Mo Qingyun would have escaped long ago. After flying for some time, Mo Qingyun suddenly sensed the troops and realized that there were some people following them. 6 God King experts and 3 quasi-God King experts are following behind Wan Qinqi's group. Sensing the people following them, Mo Qingyun's expression changed. A trace of surprise appeared in his eyes. He didn't think that there would be so many people secretly following them. These people are following behind us. What are they planning? When Mo Qingyun discovered the people following them, Mo Qingyun raised his guard. He didn't fear Wan Qinqi's group, but he couldn't ignore the God King experts behind them. As Mo Qingyun pondered, he slowed down to see what those people were thinking. As Mo Qingyun slowed down, Wan Qinqi's group caught up. Kid, aren't you good at running? Why don't you keep running? Arriving in front of Mo Qingyun, Wan Qinqi sneered as if he had Mo Qingyun in his grasp. In his opinion, Mo Qingyun slowed down because he couldn't keep up with his divine power. With Mo Qingyun's heavenly general cultivation, running at such a high speed would undoubtedly consume a lot of divine power. Run? Why should I run? Looking at Wan Qinqi's group, Mo Qingyun curled his lips in disdain. I'm not boasting, but I can kill you all with a single finger. As soon as Mo Qingyun said this, everyone's expression froze. They all looked at each other. Mo Qingyun's boasting was too big. Wan Qinqi laughed heartily after a brief moment of shock. He looked at Mo Qingyun with disdain. Kid, aren't you afraid of biting your tongue when you talk big? You want to contend against us with your heaven general cultivation? As soon as Wan Qinqi's words fell, the group of followers beside him also laughed out loud. Young sect master, this kid must have been scared silly. He's starting to talk nonsense now. That's right. He must be saying that he'll be killed by you with a single finger. Kid, since you know fear, why don't you get over here and kowtow? Wan Qinqi's followers swaggered. Mo Qingyun didn't pay any attention to Wan Qinqi and the others' reactions. He looked behind them and said, Seniors, do you think I was bragging just now? Mo Qingyun's words stunned Wan Qinqi's group. They didn't understand Mo Qingyun's actions. Before Wan Qinqi reacted, he saw one figure after another fly out from behind him. These people were all emitting powerful auras. Seeing this scene, Wan Qinqi and the rest trembled. Each and every one of their eyes was filled with shock. They never would have thought that there were so many divine king powerhouses hiding behind them. Kid, your perception is pretty sharp to actually detect our presence. Although you talk big, but looking at it now, you have some ability too. Don't talk nonsense. Your father is here to watch a good show. You kids, hurry up and fight. The group of divine king powerhouses showed up and mocked Mo Qingyun. Hearing these people's words, Mo Qingyun shook his head and said, Seniors, you all are also bored enough to actually run over to watch a bunch of juniors fight. Mo Qingyun's words left his mouth. The powerhouses in midair all exchanged glances. Mo Qingyun was right. They were indeed quite bored. A divine king regained his senses and urged impatiently, Kid, You know that our time is precious. Why are you still dawdling over there? Hurry up and fight with this kid." Hearing this divine king's words, Wanchinchi and the rest felt gloomy. Each and every one of their faces was ashen. They were actually ignored. Looking at the attitude of these divine kings, with their strength, they didn't seem to be Mo Qingyun's match. In his rage, Wanchinchi ordered one of his followers, Wan Hengjiang, "Go take down that kid. Let the seniors see your strength." "Yes." Wan Hengjiang nodded. Immediately, his figure flashed and flew towards Mo Qingyun. Wan Hengjiang's figure flashed a few times. He arrived in front of Mo Qingyun and punched out at Mo Qingyun. "Come." Facing Wan Hengjiang's attack, Mo Qingyun wasn't the slightest bit afraid and directly welcomed him. Seeing Mo Qingyun's action, the expressions of the surrounding people changed. Shock emerged in their eyes. They didn't think that facing Wan Hengjiang's attack, Mo Qingyun would actually take the initiative to meet Wan Hengjiang's attack. One had to know Wan Hengjiang's cultivation was middle stage great deity realm. He was a major realm higher than Mo Qingyun. Courting death. Seeing Mo Qingyun's action, Wan Hengjiang sneered coldly. His eyes were filled with contempt and disdain. He felt that even if Mo Qingyun's strength was any more powerful, it was also impossible to cross a major realm to fight with him. Tyrant Dragon Heaven Shattering Fist. Arriving in front of Wan Hengjiang, Mo Qingyun blasted out punch. All of the law threads were urged out. Mo Qingyun's law threads were brought out. They were like berserk flood dragons, emitting waves of horrifying aura. Seeing such a scene, the surrounding people were all greatly alarmed, each and every one of them opening their eyes wide. This kid is really strange. Only Heaven General Realm cultivation, but the strength of the law threads is comparable to Celestial Deity Realm. No wonder he could detect us. Indeed, he has some ability. This show is getting more and more interesting. Making a trip here wasn't in vain. A group of divine kings revealed surprised looks, becoming more interested in Mo Qingyun. Looking at Mo Qingyun's performance, Wanchinchi's expression trembled. A panicky feeling arose in his heart as he said, "What a sinister brat, to actually deliberately feign weakness to trick us. Attack together and slaughter him." Under Wanchinchi's fury, he gave an angry roar, ordering everyone to attack together. When they attacked, Mo Qingyun's fist already closed in front of Wan Hengjiang. So strong. Facing Mo Qingyun's attack, Wan Hengjiang's pupils constricted, a look of fear emerging in his eyes. He did not expect that Mo Qingyun's strength was so powerful. This time, he was too careless. While Wan Hengjiang was flustered, he did not hesitate at all either, immediately making a move to block Mo Qingyun's fist. Crack! Mo Qingyun's fist slammed onto Wan Hengjiang's arm, immediately erupting with a sound. Following that, Wan Hengjiang's arm was crippled. His chest was struck by Mo Qingyun's punch. Bang! Another loud sound rang out. Under Mo Qingyun's punch, Wan Hengjiang directly flew out backward, his body starting to break apart. Seeing Wan Hengjiang's miserable state, everyone's expression trembled, their eyes filled with shock. One punch. Mo Qingyun had only used a single punch to kill someone who was an entire realm higher than him. This kind of strength was sufficient to make people feel palpitations. Chapter 32:26. What terrifying battle strength! He actually killed a great god expert with a single punch, crossing an entire realm to instantly kill an opponent. If this kid grows up, he'll be a terrifying existence. It's fine if we don't offend such a person, but if we do, we definitely can't let him live. Cold Moon Devil Palace is in big trouble. If this kid doesn't have any background, then it's fine. But if he does, then it'll be terrible. The God Kings in the air couldn't help but worry for Cold Moon Devil Palace. Mo Qingyun's current potential and methods were enough to make their hearts tremble. After killing Wan Hengjiang with a single punch, Mo Qingyun didn't continue his pursuit. He immediately turned around and retreated. There were many experts watching in the air. He didn't want to reveal too many trump cards and was prepared to slowly exhaust Wan Qianqi and the rest. Very quickly, the distance between Mo Qingyun and Wan Qianqi and the rest widened. Kid, want to escape? It won't be easy for you. Seeing Mo Qingyun retreat, Wan Qianqi roared and chased after Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun killed Wan Hengjiang. How could he let Mo Qingyun escape? Seeing Wan Qianqi and the rest coming after him, Mo Qingyun didn't care at all. His figure flashed, and he shook them off. Seeing Mo Qingyun's speed, everyone's expression changed. Shock appeared in their eyes. Such fast speed. That kid's flying speed is already close to the God King level. A heaven general with the battle strength of a quasi-heavenly god and the flying speed of a quasi-heavenly God King. This kid is truly a monster. Everyone, should we take action and help Cold Moon Devil Palace capture that kid? I'm sure Cold Moon Devil Palace Master will thank us. God King Xing He, I advise you not to be a busybody and bring unnecessary trouble to yourself. The God Kings discussed among themselves. While they were discussing, Mo Qingyun had already escaped far away, shaking off Wan Qianqi and the rest. After leaving behind Wan Qianqi and the others, Mo Qingyun didn't go far. Instead, he walked at a neither fast nor slow pace. He thought, those divine kings are here to watch the show. If there's no show to watch, they'll definitely leave. If I continue to fight with Wan Qianqi and the others, they won't leave. Mo Qingyun pondered for a moment. Soon, he had an answer and knew what to do. Next, Mo Qingyun fled while paying attention to the movements of those powerhouses. Just as Mo Qingyun had thought, because Mo Qingyun had been running for his life, those experts had slowly retreated. The only thing that surprised Mo Qingyun was that there was an expert following him. This guy's patience is really good. Mo Qingyun frowned when he realized that there was an expert following him. He felt a headache coming on. However, Mo Qingyun did not care too much and allowed him to follow behind. Now that there was only one divine king left, he didn't have anything to worry about. If he was really forced into a corner, he would use all his trump cards to make them suffer. Although there was only one divine king following him, Mo Qingyun did not act rashly and waited for a while. Looks like the other divine kings have already left. After confirming that the other divine kings had left, Mo Qingyun did not want to delay any longer and prepare to deal with Wan Qianqi and the others. Wan Qianqi had the corpse of the soul summoner race on him. He had to get it. Mo Qingyun was also worried that Wan Qianqi would return to the Cold Moon Devil Palace. At that time, he would not be able to make a move. After deciding to make a move on Wan Qianqi and the others, Mo Qingyun went to meet them. He quickly arrived in front of them and said, "You bunch of tortoises are too slow. I've been waiting for you for half a day." Hearing Mo Qingyun's mockery, Wan Qianqi and the others' faces immediately darkened. "Kid, other than running fast, what other skills do you have?" Looking at Mo Qingyun in front of him, Wan Qianqi curled his lip in disdain. "If you keep running, this young lord may not be interested in playing with you, but the beauty traveling with you is still waiting for this young lord." Despite Wan Qianqi's words, Mo Qingyun's expression did not change. He remained indifferent from beginning to end. He knew very well what Wan Qianqi had in mind when he said this. He wanted to use Jiang Yunxi and the others to force him to not run and face them head-on. This kind of provocation is useless against me. Sizing up Wan Qianqi and the others, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly. "However, you're right about one thing. I really don't have the patience to play with you." With that, Mo Qingyun's figure flashed, and he flew towards Wan Qianqi and the others. Seeing Mo Qingyun take the initiative to attack, Wan Qianqi and the others trembled. Shock flashed through their eyes. They hadn't expected that Mo Qingyun would take the initiative to attack when surrounded by them. "You're courting death." Wan Qianqi snorted coldly, and together with his subordinates, he began to attack Mo Qingyun. In an instant, a terrifying aura exploded from Wan Qianqi and the others. Their faces darkened as they attacked Mo Qingyun. Battle Sky Splitter Armor. Mo Qingyun didn't retreat in the face of Wan Qianqi and the others' attacks. He activated the battle Sky Splitter armor without hesitation. Bang, bang, bang. As soon as the battle Sky Splitter armor was activated, Wan Qianxi and the others' attacks landed on Mo Qingyun's body. Then, a series of powerful abilities engulfed Mo Qingyun. When Wan Qianxi and the others' attacks landed on Mo Qingyun, they also suffered from backlash. Sensing his injuries, Wan Qianxi was shocked. He was a little surprised by Mo Qingyun's methods. After a brief moment of shock, Wan Qianxi sneered. He looked at the storm of divine power in front of him and said, "Reckless thing, you're delusional to think you can take this young master down with you. Courting death. Since I've dealt with you, it's time for this young master to go find my little beauty." In Wan Qianxi's view, no matter how monstrous Mo Qingyun was, he was dead for sure after receiving their joint attack. At this moment, just as he was about to let down his guard, a figure rushed toward him at an extremely fast speed. Seeing this figure approach, Wan Qianxi's expression shook. Panic surged in his eyes. "I'm impossible. You received our attack. How can you still be alive? Wait until you're underground, then I'll tell you slowly." Mo Qingyun didn't reply to Wan Qianxi's panic. Instead, he reached out to grab Wan Qianxi's neck. Mo Qingyun's right hand reached out, grabbing Wan Qianxi and throwing him into the Fortune mainland. After capturing Wan Qianxi, Mo Qingyun didn't stay any longer, fleeing into the distance. Blocking Wan Qianxi's attack just now had cost him close to 10 million heaven crystals, and he almost died. With the amount of heaven crystals he had, he definitely couldn't compete with Wan Qianxi's followers. However, since Wan Qianxi was captured, there was no point in staying any longer. Seeing Wan Qianxi being captured, Wan Qianxi's subordinates' expressions changed. They quickly chased after Mo Qingyun. If something happened to Wan Qianxi, they wouldn't be able to explain themselves. Chapter 32:27. He's so fast. He was shocked to see Mo Qingyun disappear in a flash. He quickly chased after Mo Qingyun. Top point small sex, 23 you owe him at this moment. His eyes were filled with greed as he looked at Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun didn't know that he was chasing after him. He only wanted to meet up with Chun and the others. About 15 minutes later, Mo Qingyun sensed that something was wrong. Unease rose in his heart. I've already shaken off Wan Qianxi's subordinates. Why do I feel more and more uneasy? Mo Qingyun frowned when he sensed the strange feeling in his heart. He didn't understand. Mo Qingyun's expression tensed up. He started guessing. Are Chun and the others in danger? Are they being chased by the Cold Moon Demon Palace? When Mo Qingyun thought of this, he felt that it was very possible. Immediately after, Mo Qingyun's flying speed increased by several degrees. As Mo Qingyun sped up, He, who was following behind him, looked even more shocked. He exclaimed, "This kid's flying speed is so fast that it's at the godly king realm." "Divine King Xing," he exclaimed. His flying speed increased as a result. As godly monarch He's flying speed increased, it became more and more difficult to conceal his figure. Slowly, some of his aura leaked out and entered Mo Qingyun's senses. This aura. Mo Qingyun was shocked when he sensed the aura behind him. This is the aura of a godly king. That godly king has been following me. There's no show to watch now, but he's been following me. He probably has bad intentions. It seems that the uneasiness in my heart is very likely from this person. Mo Qingyun's mind spun quickly. After a simple analysis, he found the source of the danger. Mo Qingyun wasn't in a hurry to find Chun now that he knew the source of the danger. He slowed down. It would be extremely difficult for him to shake off the other party's godly king cultivation. If he met up with Chun and the others, he would be in an even more disadvantageous position. After flying for a while, Mo Qingyun stopped and said, "Senior, I thank you for protecting me along the way. If I've already shaken off the Cold Moon Demon Palace, there shouldn't be any danger. I don't need your protection anymore." When godly King Xing heard Mo Qingyun's words, a look of intense shock appeared on his face. He didn't expect that he would be discovered by Mo Qingyun while he was following behind him. Good lad, you are indeed a little different. Your perception is actually so amazing. Seeing that his whereabouts had been exposed, Xinghe stopped hiding his aura and quickly arrived above Mo Qingyun. Standing above Mo Qingyun, Xinghe released a powerful aura that pressed down on Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun wasn't afraid at all in the face of Xinghe's aura. He looked at the sky calmly. He had seen the aura of a godly king too many times and was already used to it. Xinghe's eyes flashed with shock when he saw that Mo Qingyun didn't panic at all under his pressure. Mo Qingyun's current behavior made him hesitate. He was considering whether to make a move on Mo Qingyun. Judging from Mo Qingyun's behavior, he definitely came from a large faction and was used to all kinds of situations. Godly King Xing, he hesitated for a moment before he made up his mind to snatch Mo Qingyun. Putting aside the mystic art secret manual that Mo Qingyun had obtained, Mo Qingyun had captured Wan Qianxi, and the corpse of the spirit-summoning race patriarch was also worth tens of millions of sky crystals. Therefore, the total value of Mo Qingyun's belongings was already worth 50 to 60 million sky crystals. A wealth of 50 to 60 million heaven crystals was something that even a god king could not overlook. Xinghe thought for a moment and said, "Kid, I've been short on money recently. I saw you spend a lot of money at the auction house. I'm sure you have plenty of money. How about you help me out a little?" Mo Qingyun narrowed his eyes when he heard Xinghe's words. He understood the other party's intentions. The saying that treasuring a jade ring was a crime was indeed eternal. With his heaven general realm cultivation, it was normal for him to be coveted by others for possessing so much wealth. Xinghe probably didn't dare to make a move on Mo Qingyun because he was afraid of Mo Qingyun's arrogance. "Senior, you must be joking. You're a godly king. Why would you need the help of a heaven general junior?" Mo Qingyun didn't panic when he understood Xinghe's intentions. He smiled faintly and teased Xinghe. Xinghe's expression darkened when he saw Mo Qingyun's stubbornness. "Kid, I don't want to be your enemy. I just want some money. These are mere worldly possessions. Why throw away your life for them?" If godly monarch Xing he had been trying to negotiate with Luo Yunyang earlier, he was now threatening Luo Yunyang. Mo Qingyun's expression darkened when he heard Xinghe's words. "It seems like I have no choice but to hand them over." Xinghe's expression improved when he saw that Mo Qingyun understood the situation. He smiled in satisfaction. "Seems like I'll have to use some trump cards if I want to get rid of this old man." The corners of Mo Qingyun's mouth curled up as he looked at Xinghe. He had a plan in mind and said, "Senior, just tell me what you need from me, so I don't have to guess." Xinghe nodded in satisfaction when he saw Mo Qingyun's attitude. "Give me the Divine Ability Manual and Wan Qianxi. Also, give me 20 million sky crystals." Mo Qingyun's expression turned ugly when he heard Xinghe's exorbitant demand. This old man was really greedy. However, Mo Qingyun didn't think too much about it. He immediately summoned Wan Qianxi and started taking out other things. Xinghe was delighted when he saw what Mo Qingyun took out. He immediately flew over to Mo Qingyun. At this moment, a terrifying aura erupted from Mo Qingyun's hand. This is the Divine Emperor's great Tao origin. Wan Qianxi's expression changed when he sensed the aura from Mo Qingyun's hand. His eyes were filled with shock. He didn't expect Mo Qingyun to have something like this. Mo Qingyun took out the origin of the great Tao of the God Emperor. His expression turned cold as he said, "A wandering god king actually dared to rob me. You must be blind." As soon as Mo Qingyun said that, he used the Great Path origin source and blasted it towards divine monarch Xinghe. After blasting out the Great Tao origin, Mo Qingyun swept up Qianxi and rapidly fled into the distance. Mo Qingyun's body flashed a few times, and he was far away. Boom! At this moment, a huge explosion came from behind. It created a terrifying storm of divine power. A miserable shriek came from the storm of divine power. "Brat, this old man is going to tear you to pieces." Mo Qingyun didn't care about Xing He's roar at all. He quickly pulled away. Chapter 32:28. Mo Qingyun disappeared in a flash, traversing thousands of miles and shaking off divine King Xing He. Mo Qingyun didn't meet up with Enchun and the others after shaking off divine King Xing He. Instead, he headed in another direction. If he traveled with Enchun and the others, he'd be tied down. If he dealt with divine King Xing He, his hands would be tied. It'd be troublesome if divine King Xing He took his anger out on Enchun and the others. Mo Qingyun summoned Sword Shadow Africa and controlled it to fly toward Empyrean Divine Realm. A few minutes after Mo Qingyun left, the storm caused by the Divine Emperor's great Tao origin dissipated. As the storm of divine power dissipated, God King Xing He's figure slowly emerged from within it. Damn that kid, he hid such a trump card. Divine King Xing He's expression darkened when he saw his injuries. He was furious. He hadn't expected to suffer so much at the hands of a junior in the heavenly general realm. Xing He shouted angrily. Without any hesitation, he sat down cross-legged to heal his injuries. A few hours later, divine King Xing recovered. His expression darkened as he looked at a mountain shrouded in black clouds. Oomph. That kid captured Wan Wanqi. If Wan Guoqiong finds out, she won't let him off. Xing He muttered to himself and flew towards the cold Moon Devil Palace in a flash. Somewhere in the Feather Divine Land. And Chun, who was traveling with Jiang Yunxi and the others, suddenly frowned. Elder Jiang, we're being followed. It should be someone from Cold Moon Palace. Please take care of him. Jiang Xingfeng's face tightened when he heard Enchen's words. He said, Enchen, please tell me where that person is hiding. Enchen didn't say anything else. He immediately flew toward a certain direction. Dark World Devouring Gate. Enchen's figure flashed. He arrived in the sky above that person and used a powerful divine ability. Immediately after, a terrifying divine power of darkness erupted from Dark's body. A huge black door of light quickly formed in midair and shrouded that person. Seeing Enchen's action, the man's expression changed. His eyes were filled with shock as he said, Dark Heaven Holy Clan. After recognizing Enchen's origin, this person was immediately frightened. Boom! Before he could react, the huge black door of light enveloped him and trapped him inside. Seeing that person trapped, Jiang Xingfeng's expression lit up, and he immediately charged over. When Jiang Xingfeng approached the black door of light, and Dawn controlled the black door of light to swallow Jiang Xingfeng. As soon as Jiang Xingfeng entered the black door of light, he frantically attacked that person. That person's cultivation was only peak Great Deity Realm. How could he be Jiang Xingfeng's match? Only a moment passed. Under Jiang Xingfeng's tyrannical attack, that person was killed. And Chen looked solemn and respectful as he said, That person has been following us. The Cold Moon Demon Palace must have known where we were before. If that's the case, the Cold Moon Demon Palace might have already guessed our next route. We must change our route. Hearing in Chen's words, Jiang Xingfeng nodded in agreement and began to change their route. After flying for 2 hours, Mo Qingyun finally stopped. Looking around, Mo Qingyun had a plan. It seems that I've shaken off divine King Xing He. Since I'm still safe, I'll blood bond with the Soul Caller ancestor's corpse. Mo Qingyun's figure flashed, and he arrived at the foot of a mountain. After making some simple arrangements, he took out the Soul Caller ancestor's corpse. Let's collect some blood first. Refining the heaven-defying wheel world pill required the blood of the Soul Caller. To prevent any unforeseen circumstances from occurring while refining the corpse, Mo Qingyun decided to collect some blood first. Then, even if an accident occurred during the blood bond refining, he wouldn't have to worry. Soon, Mo Qingyun extracted the blood and carefully collected it. I hope nothing unforeseen happens. Mo Qingyun took a deep breath and took out the materials for refining ghosts and gods. He carefully refined the corpse. When he'd asked Zhu Lanxi for advice, he'd already prepared the materials so that he could use them in the future. A pure divine flame shot out of Mo Qingyun's palm and enveloped the soul-caller ancestor's corpse. Under the burning of the divine flame, the impurities in the soul-caller ancestor's body began to be expelled bit by bit. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate at all. He immediately took out various materials and fused them with the corpse. To Mo Qingyun's surprise, the corpse absorbed the materials he fused with it. It absorbed the materials on its own? How can this be? Seeing this abnormal scene, Mo Qingyun's brows furrowed tightly as he felt a strong sense of shock. Although he was very surprised and puzzled, Mo Qingyun didn't think too much about it. He continued refining the corpse step by step. Under Mo Qingyun's blood bond refining, the corpse's aura began to grow stronger and stronger. It seemed like it was going to advance to the level of a quasi-god emperor. This abnormal scene made Mo Qingyun's brows furrow even more. The confusion in his heart grew stronger. At the same time, Mo Qingyun felt a strong sense of unease. When this strange feeling appeared, Mo Qingyun's heart skipped a beat and a bold idea came to his mind. Could it be that the soul-caller ancestor isn't dead, but has fallen into a deep sleep using some kind of divine ability? When this idea appeared, Mo Qingyun felt a lingering fear and immediately stopped refining the corpse. Mo Qingyun stopped the blood bond refining. The soul-caller ancestor's aura continued to grow stronger and stronger as it refined itself. As expected, seeing this, Mo Qingyun immediately flew away on the boat without any hesitation. Since the soul-caller ancestor wasn't dead, everything that had just happened must have been within his perception. In that case, when he completely woke up, he would definitely chase after Mo Qingyun. Being chased by a quasi-god emperor was definitely a terrifying thing. Boom! When Mo Qingyun was flying away on the boat, a terrifying aura exploded from the soul-caller ancestor. Then, an earth-shattering pressure came crashing down on Mo Qingyun. Sensing the movement behind him, Mo Qingyun was shocked and felt a strong sense of lingering fear. Fortunately, his senses were fast enough, and he escaped on the boat in advance. Otherwise, when the soul-caller ancestor completely woke up, it would be difficult for him to escape. "Brat, how dare you take my blood? I will tear you into pieces." The soul-caller ancestor roared. His figure flashed, and he chased after Mo Qingyun. The soul-caller ancestor was a quasi-god emperor, and his flying speed was much faster than an ordinary divine king. He quickly closed the distance between him and Mo Qingyun. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun's expression tensed up. He was really in danger this time. Chapter 32:29. Luckily, I extracted his blood. As Mo Qingyun was escaping, he felt a strong sense of relief. Now that the soul-caller race's patriarch had awakened, it was almost impossible to extract his blood again. As such, if Mo Qingyun wanted to obtain the blood of the soul-caller race, he would have to capture other soul-caller race members. Not to mention how difficult it was to capture a soul-caller race member, it would at least consume a lot of time and energy. I didn't expect the soul-caller race's patriarch to still be alive. This is really unexpected. Thinking back to the scene just now, Mo Qingyun felt more and more afraid. Fortunately, he was alert enough to discover it quickly. Taking advantage of the fact that the other party hadn't made a move yet, he steered the flying boat away in advance. Sensing the powerful aura behind him getting closer and closer, Mo Qingyun's expression tensed up. He thought to himself, "This can't go on. He will catch up to me sooner or later." As Mo Qingyun thought this, some regret arose in his heart. He regretted not attacking the soul-caller race's patriarch just now. If he had attacked the soul-caller race's patriarch just now, he would have been seriously injured and his strength would have been greatly reduced. In this way, it would have been much more difficult for the other party to kill him. Although Mo Qingyun regretted it, he didn't care. Now, there was no point in thinking about this anymore. It was better to think of a way to get rid of the other party as soon as possible. Mo Qingyun flew for a while, and a vast ocean appeared in front of him. This is the realm-dividing sea of the deity territory. Looking at the huge ocean in front of him, Mo Qingyun's expression changed slightly, and a sense of surprise arose in his heart. After thinking for a while, Mo Qingyun didn't stop and drove the boat across the realm-dividing sea of the deity territory. After entering the region of the realm-dividing sea of the deity territory, Mo Qingyun clearly felt that his perception was obstructed. Not only that, but a mysterious divine power emanated from the realm-dividing sea of the deity territory. The deeper he went into the realm-dividing sea of the deity territory, the more blurred Mo Qingyun's vision in front of him. What a strange place. Looking at the scene in front of him, Mo Qingyun raised some vigilance in his heart. The situation inside the divine realm's sea of dividing worlds was seriously too abnormal. In such an unfamiliar environment, he had to be careful to avoid any unforeseen circumstances. Bang, bang, bang. Just as Mo Qingyun was carefully moving forward, monstrous waves suddenly slammed in front of him. Looking at the huge waves, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate at all. He immediately steered the boat into the sky. However, as soon as Mo Qingyun arrived in the sky, he saw terrifying lightning arcs flashing in the clouds. What terrifying lightning bolts! I'm afraid even a god king would find it hard to resist them. Sensing the terrifying aura of the lightning arcs, Mo Qingyun began to gradually descend, no longer getting too close to the lightning arcs. However, Mo Qingyun had just landed the flying boat when he was engulfed by the waves. Beneath the waves, Mo Qingyun and the phantom sword-flying ship were both slammed into the Divine Realm's world-dividing sea. Entering the Divine Realm's world-dividing sea, Mo Qingyun saw one massive figure after another swimming in the Divine Realm's world-dividing sea. These were sea demons, currently patrolling the territory. Seeing such a scene, Mo Qingyun didn't dare to hesitate and immediately steered the boat away from the Divine Realm's world-dividing sea. Mo Qingyun had just steered the phantom sword-flying ship out of the Divine Realm's world-dividing sea when a terrifying divine power undulation transmitted over from behind him. "Brat, see where you run to. Obediently wait for death without putting up a fight." After a roar, Mo Qingyun saw a familiar figure. It was currently the soul-calling race's ancestor. Seeing him fly towards him, Mo Qingyun's face fell and he shouted angrily, "I didn't expect that your soul-calling race are all ungrateful people. If not for me saving you and sacrificing your body for you, how could you have awakened? Although I unintentionally saved you, I can still be considered your savior. It's fine if you don't want to repay me, but you actually dared to chase after me with all your might. You are truly devoid of humanity, despicable and shameless." Hearing Mo Qingyun's insults, the soul-calling race's ancestor's face fell, and he shouted, "I don't need to explain to you how I do things. The soul-calling race's rules clearly state that anyone who extracts the blood of a soul-calling race member must be killed." "Bah!" Mo Qingyun scoffed at the soul-caller patriarch's words. His tone was filled with disdain as he said, "You've spouted so much nonsense. It's all because my cultivation is low. Do you think I'm easy to bully? If it was another god emperor expert, you'd definitely kneel and lick his boots like a grandson. You're really a whore trying to establish a monument to her chastity." Mo Qingyun's insults caused the soul-calling race's ancestor's expression to darken. He shouted angrily, "What a sharp-tongued brat. First, you disrespected me, and now you're insulting me. You're courting death." After the soul-calling race's ancestor finished speaking, he stretched out his palm and slammed it toward Mo Qingyun. Facing the soul-calling race's ancestor's attack, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate at all and immediately dived into the sea of dividing worlds. Mo Qingyun steered the shadow sword-flying ship into the sea, and the soul-calling race's ancestor's palm struck the surface of the sea of dividing worlds. Boom! A loud sound was heard. The sea, which wasn't very calm to begin with, immediately became stormy and unusually violent. As the waves churned, a terrifying divine power hit Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun was immediately sent flying by the impact of the divine power. He hurriedly put away the shadow sword flying ship. Crack! When Mo Qingyun put away the shadow sword flying ship, the 100 battle heaven splitting armor on his body flashed and began to shatter rapidly. When the 100 battle sky splitting armor shattered, the number of heaven crystals on him was also rapidly depleted. In the blink of an eye, all of them were used up. Even the ones he obtained from Wan Qinshi were used up at this moment. Puff! Without the protection of the 100 battle heaven splitting armor, a terrifying divine power landed on Mo Qingyun's body. Although most of the impact was neutralized by the Sea of Dividing Worlds and the 100 battle heaven splitting armor, Mo Qingyun still suffered some injuries. Roar! After being hit by the divine power, Mo Qingyun roared angrily and transformed into his monster form. This was the Sea of Dividing Worlds, a place where humans rarely went. Transforming into his monster form here made it much easier to move around and avoid a lot of trouble. Suppressing the injuries in his body, Mo Qingyun didn't stop and quickly headed to the bottom of the Sea of Dividing Worlds. He's actually still alive. Sensing Mo Qingyun's aura fluctuation, the Soul Summoner race's ancestor was shocked and surprise flashed in his eyes. Then, his figure flashed, and he dived into the Sea of Dividing Worlds. However, just as the Soul Summoner race's ancestor entered the Sea of Dividing Worlds, several powerful monsters came. Human, leave the Sea of Dividing Worlds. Otherwise, don't blame us for being impolite. Several Divine King realm monstrous beasts surrounded the Soul Summoner race's old ancestor and threatened him. Looking at the monsters in front of him, the Soul Summoner race's ancestor's face darkened and he shouted, "I want to kill someone. Quickly retreat and don't hinder me." Seeing the Soul Summoner race's ancestor's attitude, the monsters were immediately enraged and attacked him. The monster's actions immediately alarmed the Soul Summoner race's ancestor, and he quickly defended himself. Chapter 32:30. Soon, both sides were engaged in a fierce battle that shook heaven and earth. Although the Soul Caller tribe's ancestor was powerful, he had just awakened, and his strength had not recovered to its peak. Moreover, he was fighting one against many, so he gradually fell into a passive position. Seeing that he was in a bad situation, the Soul Caller tribe's ancestor decided to retreat as he fought. Since the Soul Caller tribe's ancestor had retreated, the several God King realm demonic beasts in the Sea of World Dividing did not chase after him. If a quasi-god emperor fought with his life on the line, the consequences would be terrifying, and they were unwilling to see that happen. Looks like the Soul Caller tribe's ancestor has retreated. I should be safe for the time being. Sensing that the commotion on the sea surface had subsided, Mo Qingyun's tense expression relaxed, and the tension in his heart eased a little. Then, Mo Qingyun unhurriedly advanced through the Divine Realm's sea of boundaries. Mo Qingyun traveled for some time before stopping when he found a safe place. He had suffered heavy injuries from the Soul Caller tribe's ancestors' attack. Thus, he needed to rest for a while to recover. I really suffered a big loss this time. Mo Qingyun's heart ached when he saw the 100 battle heaven splitting armor had shattered, and he had consumed several million heaven crystals. If he hadn't drawn some blood, he would have lost everything. After finding a safe place to rest, Mo Qingyun's figure disappeared in a flicker, entering the Fortune mainland. Arriving on the Fortune mainland, Mo Qingyun sat down cross-legged and began to meditate to heal his injuries. A few days passed in a flash. After several days of rest, Mo Qingyun's injuries had completely healed, and he stopped cultivating. After recovering from his injuries, Mo Qingyun was in no hurry to continue his journey. Instead, he took out the Divine Ability Manual. The moment he held the Divine Ability Manual in his hand, Mo Qingyun clearly felt a strong suction force. Then the Divine Ability Manual in Mo Qingyun's hand emitted a dazzling golden light. Great Creation Primal Beginning Heavenly Gates Incantation. As the golden light bloomed, a row of words appeared. This was a powerful incantation. As the name of the spell appeared, the contents of the spell slowly appeared and entered Mo Qingyun's eyes. The content of the cultivation method was very obscure. Just by looking at the words on the surface, Mo Qingyun found it difficult to understand its meaning. In order to understand the contents of the cultivation method, Mo Qingyun had to seriously ponder and analyze it before he could understand its true meaning. After a while, the contents of the cultivation technique no longer appeared. Only the contents of the first volume remained. After Mo Qingyun finished reading the contents of the first volume, he had a rough understanding of what was being said. So the origin of the Gate of Fortune is actually related to this technique. According to Mo Qingyun's understanding, the content of the first volume seemed to be about how to condense the gate of good fortune. This discovery really shocked Mo Qingyun quite a bit. He had not expected this at all. He knew very well how powerful the Gate of Fortune was. He had always wanted to know the origin of the Gate of Destinies. Now, it seemed that he had found it. Forget it. Let's condense the Gate of Fortune first. After clearing away the distracting thoughts in his mind, Mo Qingyun began to focus and cultivate the great creation primeval heavenly gate incantation. As Mo Qingyun cultivated, he clearly felt that the Gate of Fortune that had entered his body suddenly moved. Sensing the situation in his body, Mo Qingyun was pleasantly surprised. It seems that my guess was correct. This incantation of the great creation primeval heavenly gate incantation really is a technique to condense the Gate of Fortune. Mo Qingyun cursed in his heart. He then worked even harder to condense the Gate of Fortune in his body. When ordinary people cultivated the incantation of the great creation primeval heavenly gate incantation, they would need a very long time to condense the Gate of Fortune. However, Mo Qingyun was different. A complete Gate of Fortune had already merged into his body. What he needed to do was not to condense it bit by bit. He only needed to reshape it. There was no doubt that the difference in difficulty was huge. What surprised Mo Qingyun was that his cultivation base was also increasing bit by bit as he reshaped the Gate of Fortune. At this rate, I'll be able to reach the great circle of the sky general realm in 3 months at most. Mo Qingyun was pleasantly surprised when he sensed the speed of his cultivation base's increase. He felt a strong sense of anticipation. After that, Mo Qingyun discarded all the distracting thoughts in his mind and threw himself into cultivation wholeheartedly. Cold Moon Demon Palace. When Divine King Xinghe arrived, he was received by Wan Guoqiong, the palace master of Cold Moon Demon Palace. Brother Xinghe, may I know why you've come here today? Wan Guoqiong frowned slightly and asked curiously when she saw Divine King Xinghe beside her. As far as she could remember, she wasn't familiar with Divine King Xinghe. They shouldn't have interacted much. Today, Divine King Xinghe found it strange that Divine King Xinghe had come so suddenly and anxiously. Divine King Xinghe smiled faintly when he heard Wan Guoqiong's question. He immediately understood the situation. Wan Guoqiong's reaction probably meant that Wan Qianqi's subordinates hadn't reported to Wan Qianqi yet. Presumably, they hadn't dared to report that Wan Qianqi had been captured by Mo Qingyun immediately. They would try to find him again and see if they could save Wan Qianqi. If they could save Wan Qianqi, their sins would be greatly reduced. Divine King Xinghe smiled faintly when he understood the general situation. Palace Master Wan, I've come to find you today because of an important matter. It concerns your son's life. Wan Guoqiong's expression turned grave when she heard Divine King Xinghe's words. She hurriedly said, Brother Xinghe, please enlighten me. I'll be eternally grateful. Divine King Xinghe nodded in satisfaction. Not long ago, I saw your son being captured. I wanted to rescue him, but he had many tricks up his sleeves and powerful trump cards. I was also injured by his great Tao origin. I had no choice but to give up on rescuing him. I've come to inform you of the news so you can deal with it sooner. Wan Guoqiong's heart skipped a beat when she heard Divine King Xinghe's words. If Divine King Xinghe was telling the truth, it would be very troublesome for her to rescue Wan Qianqi. The great Tao origin of a god emperor was extremely powerful. Even a divine king expert like her wouldn't dare underestimate it. Wan Guoqiong took out her communication jade slip and asked about Wan Qianqi's situation. Although she had heard about Wan Qianqi from divine King Xing He, she still wanted to confirm it. A moment later, Wan Guiqiong's expression turned even uglier. She looked pleadingly at divine King Xing He. Brother Xing He, that person has many tricks up his sleeves. I'm afraid I won't be able to capture him alone. Please help me. As for what you want in return, as long as the Cold Moon Devil Palace has it, just ask. Divine King Xing, he nodded in satisfaction at Wan Guiqiong's attitude. Although he hadn't captured Mo Qingyun, he was very satisfied with Wan Guiqiong's promise. Chapter 32-31. A month passed quickly, and Shun and the others finally arrived at the Sea of Dividing World in the Divine Realm. Looking at the sea of boundaries in front of him, Jiang Xingfeng had a serious expression and said, "After passing through the Sea of Boundaries in front of us, we'll reach the Celestial Divine Realm. We don't have a map of the Celestial Divine Realm, so I'm afraid it'll be troublesome." Hearing Jiang Xingfeng's words, and Chun calmly shook his head and said, "I don't think so. I don't think this will affect us at all. With our current strength, as long as we don't challenge a first-rate force, we won't be in any danger even if we encounter a second-rate force. As for the map of the Sky Human Divine Realm, it's fine if we can't find a complete one. We could buy a small map when we enter the Sky Human Divine Realm." Jiang Xingfeng and the others were stunned by Yin Chen's words, but then they all nodded in agreement. They'd been fixated on buying a complete map before, so they'd neglected many details. There were very few maps of the Sky Human Divine Realm in the Sky Demon Divine Realm, but there were many in the Sky Human Divine Realm. Once they entered the Sky Human Divine Realm, they wouldn't have to worry about not being able to buy a map. And Chun and the others discussed for a while. Then they began to enter the Sea of Dividing World. They traveled carefully. Compared to searching for the map, the most important thing for them right now was still to cross the Divine Realm's Sea of Dividing Realms first. In the cold Moon Demon Palace of the Feather Divine Realm, after a month of careful searching, they'd found Mo Qingyun's whereabouts. Everything showed that Mo Qingyun had left the Feather Divine Realm and had gone to the Sea of Dividing World. It seems that the boy has entered the Sea of Dividing World and is heading to the Sky Human Divine Realm. After confirming Mo Qingyun's whereabouts, Wan Guiqiong frowned and became serious. She said, "He's entered the Sky Human Divine Realm, which means he's out of my sphere of influence. The Sky Human Divine Realm is so big. It's too difficult to find someone." Hearing Wan Guiqiong's concern, Xing He chuckled and said, "Palace Master Wan, there's no need to be so polite. I'm more familiar with the Heavenly Human Divine Territory. In the Heavenly Human Divine Territory, there's a force called the Heaven Killer Association that specializes in collecting information and searching for people. There won't be any problems if we ask them to track that kid." Wan Guiqiong was delighted by Xing He's suggestion. She immediately made a decision and said, "If that's the case, Brother Xing He, please recommend me so that I can give the order to search for Lu Tian." Supreme Being Xing He nodded and said, "Palace Master Wan, although the Heaven Killer Association's information is reliable, it's better that we depart as soon as possible to prevent that brat from escaping too far away and making it difficult to capture him." "All right." Wan Guiqiong nodded and began to give instructions. Several hours later, Wan Guiqiong and Xing He left for Celestial Divine Realm. Mo Qingyun didn't know anything about Xing He's actions. If he knew, he would definitely have a headache and feel a great deal of pressure. Counting it now, the number of God King experts who wanted to deal with him had already exceeded the number of a single hand. A Heaven General Realm cultivator offending so many Divine King Realm powerhouses was undoubtedly a terrifying matter. On the Fortune mainland, after a month of cultivation, Mo Qingyun successfully formed a corner of the Fortune Gate. As the corner of the Fortune Gate appeared, it was no longer hidden and reappeared in Mo Qingyun's sea of consciousness. After condensing a corner of the Gate of Creation, the speed at which Mo Qingyun condensed it had clearly slowed down. "It seems like I won't gain much if I continue to form the Fortune Gate." Seeing that the speed of forming the Fortune Gate had slowed down, Mo Qingyun stopped cultivating and did not continue with his seclusion. Now that his injuries were almost healed, it was time for him to leave for Celestial Realm. Just as Mo Qingyun was about to leave the Fortune mainland, there was a commotion from the Fortune Gate that attracted his attention. Inside the Fortune Gate, there was another door made of light that exuded a familiar aura. This is the sealed door. Sensing the aura coming from the sealed door, Mo Qingyun's face lit up with joy as he immediately recognized the door. When he had just started cultivating after his rebirth, the sealed door was one of his trump cards. Later, the sealed door of fortune had shattered, causing him to lose all these trump cards, causing his strength to plummet. Who would have thought that the moment the Fortune Gate reappeared, these martial spirits' abilities would appear again? With the sealed door, I will have more confidence facing God King Realm experts. While Mo Qingyun was overjoyed, he was also looking forward to it. He thought to himself, if I can form the Fortune Gate a little more, wouldn't the Transmission Gate, Concealment Gate, Fusion Gate, all of them appear? Thinking of this, Mo Qingyun's anticipation grew even stronger. A short while later, after calming down, Mo Qingyun's figure disappeared in a flicker, leaving the Fortune mainland. Arriving at the God Domain's world-dividing sea, Mo Qingyun's brows were slightly furrowed. It's been a month. The Soul Summoner tribe's ancestor should have left. With this thought in mind, Mo Qingyun's figure moved and swam toward the surface of the Sea of Boundaries. A short while later, Mo Qingyun left the God Domain's world-dividing sea, cautiously flying in the direction of Celestial Realm. Brat, you're finally willing to come out. This old man has been waiting for you for a long time. Mo Qingyun hadn't flown far when a terrifying momentum pressed down on him. Hearing that furious voice and the momentum pressing down on him, Mo Qingyun immediately dove into the God Domain's world-dividing sea. He thought to himself, who would have thought that after a month, the Soul Summoner tribe's ancestor still hasn't left? He's still guarding this place. That old man actually hates me so much. Mo Qingyun had dove into the God Domain's world-dividing sea at lightning speed, avoiding the Soul Summoner tribe's ancestors' pursuit. Now that he had lost the 100-battle heaven-splitting armor, he couldn't withstand the Soul Summoner tribe's ancestors' attacks. Perhaps the Soul Summoner tribe's ancestor had some misgivings, seeing that Mo Qingyun had returned to the God Domain's world-dividing sea. He didn't attack again. Looks like it's not realistic to fly over the sea. With this thought in mind, Mo Qingyun made a decision. He was prepared to travel through the sea, even though doing so would cause him to pass through various demonic beast territories, causing some unnecessary trouble. Compared to facing the Soul Summoner tribe's ancestor, the situation was undoubtedly much better. After making up his mind, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and carefully hurried forward. However, Mo Qingyun hadn't traveled far when he was stopped by a group of demonic beasts. You come here. An octopus-shaped demonic beast wearing an iron helmet ordered Mo Qingyun coldly. At the octopus-shaped demonic beast command, a group of prawn soldiers and crab generals immediately surrounded Mo Qingyun. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun flew toward them without knowing the situation. Chapter 32:32. Senior, may I know what instructions you have for summoning me? Arriving in front of the octopus monster, Mo Qingyun put on a humble posture and asked why it had called him. The octopus demonic beast was not weak. Its cultivation had reached the later stage of the Heaven God Realm. Mo Qingyun did not pay much attention to a later stage of the Heaven God Realm expert. However, judging from the octopus demonic beast behavior, it was just a small leader of a force. Someone who could order around a later stage of the Heaven God Realm expert must be extremely powerful. Mo Qingyun only wanted to travel in peace. He did not want to cause any trouble. Hence, he did not want to become enemies with the octopus unless it was necessary. Of course, if the octopus demonic beast's request was too much, Mo Qingyun would not tolerate it. The octopus demonic beast did not answer Mo Qingyun's question. Instead, It looked at Mo Qingyun with interest. After looking at Mo Qingyun for a while, the octopus demonic beast was surprised. It asked, "You are from the dragon tribe? Are you from the Blood Crystal Dragon Palace?" Mo Qingyun shook his head and said, "Senior, I'm not a member of the Blood Crystal Dragon Palace. I've been wandering outside since I was a child, and I've been cultivating in the peripheral areas. Now that I've made a breakthrough, I left the cave residence to gain experience and find out my background." The octopus demonic beast nodded after hearing Mo Qingyun's explanation. It did not doubt him at all. It could tell that Mo Qingyun's bloodline was extraordinary. If he was a junior from the Blood Crystal Dragon Palace, he would definitely be nurtured. However, Mo Qingyun gave it the impression that he was a wandering demonic beast. He did not look like a junior from a big force. In that case, it was not wrong for Mo Qingyun to say that he had been wandering outside since he was young. After asking about Mo Qingyun's identity, the octopus demonic beast nodded in satisfaction. It said, "Brat, your luck is pretty good. You caught this commander's eye. This commander has decided to give you an opportunity." Oh, Mo Qingyun was curious. He said, "Senior, please tell me more." The octopus demonic beast was pleased by Mo Qingyun's humble attitude. It had a better impression of him. It said, "Not long ago, the evil dragon palace found a relic. Only juniors of the dragon tribe below the great god realm could pass through the law barrier and enter. Our young palace master's cultivation level is too low. The palace master is worried about him going in alone. He wanted to find some helpers to accompany him. I think you are good, so I want to recommend you to the palace master. If you perform well, you can get to the palace master." To the palace master thought, "Tell me, isn't this your opportunity?" Listening to the octopus monster's explanation, Mo Qingyun nodded in understanding. He knew why the other party was looking for him. To the octopus, the young, a helper. To the palace master. Was young's a young? Although Mo Qingyun wasn't very willing to be someone's hired thug, he was still very willing to explore the ruins. Now that I am poor, it is not a bad idea to make a fortune in the relic. Mo Qingyun thought and decided to accept the octopus demonic beast's suggestion. The octopus demonic beast was right. This was indeed a great opportunity for him at the moment. As for the dangers of entering the ruins, Mo Qingyun wasn't worried at all. Although his Hunter Battle sky-splitting armor was broken and he could not fight with a Heavenly God Realm expert, he was not afraid of anyone below the Great God Realm. There was not even a Great God Realm expert in the relic. What was there to worry about? "Thank you for your guidance, Commander." Understanding the other party's intentions, Mo Qingyun expressed his gratitude. The octopus demonic beast was satisfied with Mo Qingyun's humble attitude. It said, "Don't be in a hurry to thank me. There are only 10 places to enter the relic. It will depend on your ability if you can grab it. I will bring you to see the palace master now. You must perform well later. Otherwise, you may not even be able to keep your life." Mo Qingyun frowned when he heard the octopus demonic beast's words. He was puzzled and asked, "Commander, even if I am not strong enough and did not get a place to enter the relic, I will be eliminated. How can I not even be able to keep my life?" Mo Qingyun's question made the octopus demonic beast despise Mo Qingyun, feeling that Mo Qingyun was ignorant. The octopus demonic beast's guard against Mo Qingyun was immediately reduced when it despised Mo Qingyun. It said, "You have been staying in the border area and have not seen the world. It is normal for you to think of things simply. Think about it. The ancient relic is such a big thing. Naturally, we have to keep it a secret. Since they are eliminated, they have lost their value. To prevent them from releasing the news, we naturally have to keep their mouths shut." Mo Qingyun nodded when the octopus demonic beast said so. The doubts in his heart were resolved. He was not surprised by such a situation. This was the reality of the world. "Follow me." After explaining the situation to Mo Qingyun, the octopus demonic beast did not hesitate and immediately led the way. Immediately, Mo Qingyun followed it and rushed towards the evil dragon demonic palace. The evil dragon demonic palace was not far away. Mo Qingyun arrived quickly with the octopus demonic beast leading the way. The evil dragon demonic palace was not very big. It was only the size of the 10,000 demon emperor palaces' consecration mountain. Around the huge palaces, there was a black liquid surging, giving people a gloomy feeling. If Mo Qingyun had not been on the battlefield for a long time, he might have felt a chill down his spine when he was shrouded by this aura. Looking at Mo Qingyun's performance, the octopus demonic beast did not think too much. It just thought that Mo Qingyun had not seen the world and was shocked by the scene in front of him. Boy, you have learned something new. The octopus demonic beast chuckled and led the way in front. Follow me well, and I guarantee that you will have a meteoric rise in the future. It will be much better than the border area where you are now. Mo Qingyun nodded and did not say anything. Following behind the octopus demonic beast, Mo Qingyun went straight and soon arrived at a big hall. At this moment, there were many people standing in the hall. There were some heavenly god realm demonic beasts and some heaven general realm demonic beasts. Unsurprisingly, these heavenly god realm demonic beasts were all commanders like the octopus demonic beast. As for the heaven general realm demonic beasts, they were like Mo Qingyun who had been asked to help. Amethyst Thunder Dragon. As soon as Mo Qingyun entered the hall, the black dragon at the top of the hall looked at Mo Qingyun in surprise. After a few simple glances at Mo Qingyun, the black dragon nodded in appreciation and said, "What a pure bloodline power. This boy's talent is definitely among the geniuses in the Dragon Clan. I did not expect Commander Wu Zhang to find such a helper. What an unexpected gain." Seeing the black dragon looking at Mo Qingyun with appreciation, the other Heaven General Realm demonic beasts in the hall looked at him coldly. In their eyes, they obviously saw Mo Qingyun as a competitor and wanted to suppress Mo Qingyun. Chapter 32-33. Then, the demons activated the power of their bloodlines and pressed down on Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun frowned slightly when he sensed the bloodline pressure of these demons. Unwilling to be outdone, he also activated his bloodline power. Then, an ancient and powerful bloodline power exploded from Mo Qingyun's body. Under the suppression of Mo Qingyun's bloodline power, the demons' bloodline power was strongly suppressed. Then, their bloodline power leaked out and collapsed under Mo Qingyun's suppression. The demons were shocked when they saw their bloodline power collapse when it clashed with Mo Qingyun's bloodline power. From this, it could be seen how high the grade of Mo Qingyun's bloodline had reached. Not bad at all. Upon seeing Mo Qingyun's performance, the black flood dragon snake at the top of the hall laughed heartily and praised him. Then, it said, "Commander Wu Zhang, why are you still not introducing this little friend's identity?" "Yes." Wu Zhang nodded and said, "Palace Master, this is young Master Mo Qingyun. I happened to meet him when I was patrolling outside. Mr. Mo comes from the border area. It's his first time in the inner area of the Sea of Dividing Worlds. He wants to figure out the mystery of his background. I briefly told him that the Palace Lord is recruiting helpers, and that the Palace Lord knows a lot of important figures, which might be of help to him in unraveling the mystery of his origins." Thus, he agreed to my request. Wu Zhang was very cunning. Seeing that Nie Quanqing saw Mo Qingyun, he immediately raised Mo Qingyun's status. In his opinion, with Mo Qingyun's talent and potential, his future was limitless. It was better for him to lower his status. Nie Quanqing nodded after hearing Wu Zhang's explanation. His gaze on Mo Qingyun changed slightly. Wu Zhang and the other demons had limited experience and didn't know the origin of the Amethyst Thunder Dragon, but he knew very well. The territory that the Amethyst Thunder Dragon occupied was not within the Sea of Worlds. Mo Qingyun had grown up in the Divine Realm's world-dividing sea. It was very likely that this person was his senior and had encountered an undefeatable enemy. This kid came to the inner regions of the Divine Realm to unravel the mystery of his origins. He probably hasn't left the Divine Realm's sea of division. He grew up here. Nie Quanqing thought to himself. When Nie Quanhang thought of this, he immediately lowered his guard against Mo Qingyun. While they were talking, a black serpent with a horn on its head flew in from outside the hall. The black serpent flew in and cast a disdainful glance at Mo Qingyun. Then he said to Nie Quanhang in dissatisfaction, "Don't worry, Dad. I won't be in any danger if I enter the East Sea Lost Palace alone. These guys you found might even drag me down." As soon as the black dragon spoke, Wu Zhang and the others hurriedly explained and tried to persuade him. Young Palace Lord, the East Sea Lost Palace might not be dangerous. It's too dangerous for you to enter with your precious body. As the saying goes, 2 fists can't fight 4 hands. Bring some subordinates with you to deal with any unexpected situations. The people we found are all first-rate geniuses. They'll be of great help to you. The group of commanders tried to persuade him. Nie Quanhang nodded in agreement. He looked at Nie Xingyi and said, "The 9-headed serpent palace has also received news of the East Sea Lost Palace's unearthing. They definitely won't give up. It's too dangerous for you to go alone. Although you've inherited your mother's bloodline, there's one person here whose bloodline grade is much higher than yours." Nie Xingyi immediately took notice of Nie Xingyi's words. He glanced at Mo Qingyun and the others. Seeing Nie Xingyi's action, Nie Quanhang gestured to Mo Qingyun and said, "Young friend Mo, please release your bloodline pressure and let this kid learn something." "All right." Mo Qingyun nodded. Then he released his bloodline pressure and crushed down on Nie Xingyi. Under Mo Qingyun's bloodline pressure, Nie Xingyi's expression changed drastically. His eyes were filled with intense shock. Thump, thump, thump. At the same time, Nie Xingyi was also forced to retreat under Mo Qingyun's bloodline pressure. Looking at Nie Xingyi's performance, Nie Quanhang was shocked, and his eyes were filled with shock. When Mo Qingyun released his bloodline pressure to crush the monsters, it was definitely not this strong. I didn't expect him to hold back when he released his bloodline pressure. Although surprised by Mo Qingyun's actions, Nie Quanhang was very satisfied. He nodded at Mo Qingyun in praise. Mo Qingyun's actions seemed to be disrespectful to Nie Xingyi. It was an offense to him. But in Nie Quanhang's opinion, Nie Xingyi was too arrogant. It was good to be suppressed. Amethyst Thunder Dragon Bloodline. Feeling Mo Qingyun's bloodline pressure, Nie Xingyi's expression trembled. He looked at Mo Qingyun in shock. Seeing that Nie Xingyi recognized his bloodline, Mo Qingyun was a little surprised, but he still nodded at him. Mo Qingyun's answer made Nie Xingyi's attitude towards him become much more polite. He said, "Your bloodline grade is higher than mine. Your bloodline purity is also higher than mine. I admit defeat. In that case, you will accompany me into the East Sea Ancient Palace." Nie Xingyi's words made Mo Qingyun slightly happy. His previous worries were completely gone. He was really worried that with Nie Xingyi's interference, he would not be able to enter the East Sea Ancient Palace. Now that even Nie Xingyi had accepted him, there was nothing to worry about. Seeing that Nie Xingyi agreed with Mo Qingyun, the monsters around them were unhappy. They all showed some dissatisfaction. "Humph, since you asked for our help, how can you let us leave with just a few words?" "I am the young lord of the Python Whale Heavenly Palace. How can I be played by you like this? My uncle is an elder of the Iron Teeth Dragon Palace. If you don't give me an explanation, I will definitely tell my uncle about this." The monsters threatened one after another. Seeing the reaction of the monsters, Mo Qingyun frowned slightly and couldn't help but look at Wu Zhang. Just now, this guy had said that if he was not hired, he would secretly deal with the loser. Now, looking at the reaction of these monsters, it seemed that they all had great backgrounds. It would be extremely difficult to deal with them. Seeing that Mo Qingyun was looking at him, Wu Zhang immediately understood. He whispered, "Little friend Mo, don't just look at the surface. Only these guys dare to speak so arrogantly. The other monsters are all silent." Upon hearing Wu Zhang's words, Mo Qingyun nodded. That was indeed the case. Seeing the reaction of the monsters, Nie Quanhang didn't get angry. He asked calmly, "Everyone, tell me, how should I deal with this?" Hearing Nie Quanhang's question, the young lord of the Python Whale Heavenly Palace pointed at Mo Qingyun and said, "It's actually very simple to solve this problem. A powerful bloodline doesn't mean that you are powerful. Let him fight with us. Since he is qualified to participate, if we defeat him, won't we also be qualified? After the young lord of the Python Whale Heavenly Palace finished speaking, the others nodded in agreement. They thought that his suggestion was very good. Chapter 32-34. Young friend Mo, what do you think? Nie Quan Hang looked at Mo Qin Yun and asked for his opinion. After all, the opponent was Mo Qin Yun, so they had to ask for his opinion. If Mo Qin Yun was unwilling, then the Python Whale Celestial Palace's young palace master suggestion could only be dropped. Hearing Nie Quan Han's question, Mo Qin Yun glanced at the demons and smiled. Are you sure you want to challenge me? Mo Qin Yun's question made all the demons unhappy. Their gazes turned cold as they looked at him. Mo Qin Yun's reaction seemed to be looking down on them. Kid, who do you think you are? What's wrong with this challenging you? Don't tell me you're scared. If you are, you should give up your spot. I'll say it again. Bloodline doesn't represent strength. So what if your bloodline is strong? The monsters mocked and looked down on him. Mo Qin Yun shook his head helplessly. Why do you have to do this? Why do you have to eliminate yourselves? Mo Qin Yun walked out of the hall after he finished speaking. His meaning couldn't be more obvious. He had accepted the monsters' challenge and was ready to spar with them. The monsters in the hall were stunned by Mo Qin Yun's action, but they quickly followed him out of the hall. Coming out of the main hall, Nie Xingyi led the way and said, "Follow me. I will take you to the competition venue." Mo Qin Yun and the others hurriedly followed Nie Xingyi. They soon arrived at a huge platform. There were stabilizing formations set up around the platform to prevent the aftermath of the battle from wreaking havoc. Seeing that everyone was ready, Nie Quan Hang glanced at the monsters and said, "Who wants to spar with young friend Mo first?" Upon hearing Nie Quan Hang's question, the lesser demons exchanged glances. They all wanted someone else to test Mo Qin Yun first. Mo Qin Yun shook his head impatiently when he saw the hesitant Yao. There's no need to dawdle. Come at me together. The moment Mo Qin Yun's words left his mouth, all the demons exploded in anger. Mo Qin Yun actually wanted to challenge so many of them by himself. This was looking down on them too much. Brat, you're too arrogant. Let me teach you a lesson first. The young palace master of the Viper Whale Sky Palace snorted coldly. With a flicker of his body, he arrived on the platform. Then, he opened his mouth towards Mo Qin Yun and inhaled. A terrifying wave of energy exploded. When this divine power burst out, it turned into a huge shadow with a terrifying, devouring power. When a shadow was formed, lines of astounding law threads shot out from his body. These threads of law fused into the shadow, increasing the shadow's devouring power. Seeing Lung's performance, Sin Quan Hang was slightly stunned. He said, "Lung is a little arrogant, but he's quite strong. I'm afraid Mo Qin Yun will be in trouble." While Sin Quan Hang was muttering to himself, Mo Qin Yun stretched out his palm towards Lung, unleashing an even stronger aura. At the same time, lines of even stronger law threads shot out from Mo Qin Yun's palm. Too weak. Mo Qin Yun waved his hand. He shook his head in disappointment and said, "If this is your full strength, I can beat 10 of you with one hand." As Mo Qin Yun spoke, a terrifying giant palm that covered the sky pressed down on Lung. So strong. His law-fine threads are actually comparable to great deity realm powerhouses. Is this guy really in the sky general realm? Why is he so strong? Looking at Mo Qin Yun's performance, the other demons who were watching from the side were all shocked. Even Nie Xingyi's eyes widened when he saw Mo Qin Yun's performance. He said, "I've always boasted that I'm a genius, but compared to Mo Qin Yun, I'm nothing. I've really been a frog in a well." Under the shocked gazes of the demons, the giant palm crushed down and drowned Lung. Bang! There was a loud noise. Then, a terrifying divine power storm erupted on the high platform. Seeing this scene, everyone was stunned and didn't know what to say. After a while, the divine power storm on the high platform dissipated, and Lung's figure gradually appeared, lying there half dead. Looking at Lung's miserable state, the demons who originally wanted to fight Mo, Qingyun all tensed up and remained silent. With Mo, Qingyun's strength, even if they attacked together, they probably wouldn't be a match for him. I've already said, let Mr. Mo go alone. Seeing Mo Qingyun's amazing strength, Nieshingyi's face was full of excitement, as if he was the one who defeated Lung. After defeating Lung with one palm, Mo Qingyun looked at the other demons and said, "Do you still want to continue the battle?" The other demons were silent, and their meaning was very obvious. Seeing that they didn't say anything, Mo Qingyun's figure flashed and came down from the high platform. He said, "You can fight for a spot, but don't get it by trampling on others, especially when you're not familiar with them." After Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he ignored the demons and silently walked to the side. Mo Qingyun's lecture made the demons speechless, and they were a little dissatisfied with Lung. It was all his fault for coming up with such a bad idea, which put them in a dilemma. Seeing that Mo Qingyun had suppressed the demons, Nie Kuanghong nodded in satisfaction. He looked at Nieshingyi and said, "Brat, young friend, Mo taught you a lesson today. Remember it well." "Yes." Nieshingyi nodded in response. Although he was a little arrogant, he was not a fool and knew his own limits. After lecturing Nieshingyi, Nie Kuanghong looked at the other demons and said, "Take Lung away to treat his injuries. The others will compete in the same way as before to determine the remaining 9 spots." After seeing what happened to Lung, Nieshingyi was no longer arrogant and accepted Nie Kuanghong's arrangement. The East Sea ancient palace was full of danger, and it was indeed safer to bring more people with them. Seeing that Nie Kuanghong didn't eliminate them, the remaining demons were pleasantly surprised and went to the high platform to compete. Judging from the current situation, this was an extra opportunity given to them by Nie Kuanghong, and they had to seize it well. Several hours later, after a series of battles between the demons, the remaining 9 spots were revealed. The 9 of them were Mu Chao, Tang Tong, Gong Hanqing, Su Yunping, Han Hanqiu, Zhan Sheng, Ichi, Shan Yinqing, and Ai Qinghe. Take the others away to treat their injuries. Nie Kuanghong immediately ordered when he saw the eliminated demons. Immediately, the eliminated demons were taken away by Wu Zhang and the other commanders. As for whether they were really treated or secretly dealt with, it was unknown. Seeing that the spots were revealed, Nie Kuanghong didn't want to waste any time and said, "Follow me. I'll take you to the East Sea Ancient Palace now." Hearing this, Mo Qingyun and the others quickly followed him to the East Sea Ancient Palace. Chapter 32-35. About a day later, under Nie Kuangxing's lead, everyone arrived at the East Sea Ancient Palace. The East Sea Ancient Palace was built on the edge of a seamount. It was even larger than the 10,000 Demon Imperial Palace. Perhaps because it was too old, some places had been submerged by rocks due to the collapse of the seamount. "Get ready. I'll send you in." After instructing Mo Qingyun and the others, Nie Kuangxing took out a bead and activated it. As Nie Kuangxing activated the bead, it emitted a dazzling light that shone on Mo Qingyun and the others. Immediately, Mo Qingyun felt a tearing force enveloping him. Then, the scene in front of him blurred, and he was brought to a new place. As soon as Mo Qingyun and the others entered the East Sea Ancient Palace, a group of 9-headed snake demons rushed over. "Nie Kuangxing, why didn't you share with us when you found such a good place?" At the front of the group of 9-headed snake demons, the most powerful one asked Nie Kuangxing in a proud tone. Hearing his words, Nie Kuangxing snorted and said, "Yang Wulong, don't pretend with me. Your 9-headed dragon palace also got a dragon pearl. Don't think I don't know about it." Yang Wulong's expression froze. He looked at Nie Kuanhang in surprise and said, "Your information is quite accurate. You even know about this. However, there are some things that you don't know. Since your people have gone in, my people can't fall behind." Hearing Yang Wulong's words, Nie Kuangxing snorted coldly and did not argue with him. Seeing that Nie Kuangxing did not speak, Yang Wulong looked at the two five-headed snake demons behind him and said, Yang Wei, Yang Xie, when you enter the EC Ancient Palace, remember to take good care of the people of the evil Dragon Palace. Yes, the two five-headed snake demons answered respectfully. After instructing his people, Yang Wulong did not delay any longer and immediately sent them into the East Sea Ancient Palace. When the people of the nine-headed Dragon Palace entered the East Sea Ancient Palace, there was an obvious fluctuation in the palace's protective array. It felt as if the array was activated and was about to launch a terrifying attack. But for some reason, it stopped. Seeing this, Nie Quanhang frowned and stared coldly at Yang Wulong. Nine-headed reptile, what are you trying to do? Yang Wulong didn't mind Nie Quanhang's way of addressing him. He feigned a meaningful smile and said, Nie Quanhang, your temper is getting worse and worse. We naturally have to wait for a good show. When my people come out of the Eastern Sea Ancient Palace, you will naturally understand what kind of trick I am playing. Since Yang Wulong didn't tell him anything, Evil Frenzy didn't ask too much. Instead, he tensed up. Just now, the performance of the palace-protecting grand array of the East Sea Ancient Palace had made him feel a strong sense of uneasiness. Inside the East Sea Lost Palace. After entering the Eastern Sea Lost Palace, Missouri Qingyun felt a strong sense of resentment pressing down on him. What a shocking amount of resentment. Sensing the resentment around him, Mo Qingyun's expression was slightly surprised. He looked around curiously and said, What happened in the Eastern Sea Ancient Palace? Why is there such a terrifying amount of resentment? Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Nie Xingyi thought for a moment and said, The Eastern Sea Ancient Palace was originally one of the top forces in the Sea of Boundaries of the Divine Realm. Rumor has it that it was punished by the Taichu Celestial Court for violating the heavenly rules. Tens of millions of sea clans were wiped out overnight. Because the number of sea clans that were wiped out was too large, endless resentment was generated, so it was sealed away. After hearing Nie Xingyi's explanation, the doubts in Mo Qingyun's heart were resolved. It was no wonder that the Eastern Sea Ancient Palace, as a major force, had not been discovered until now. When Mo Qingyun's doubts were resolved, he was puzzled again. He asked, What kind of strength is this Taichu Celestial Palace? How can it punish the Eastern Sea Ancient Palace and wipe out tens of millions of sea clans? Although Nie Xingyi was a bit impatient with Mo Qingyun's questions, he still explained, The Taichu Celestial Palace was once the overlord of the Celestial Realm. All 15 domains of the Celestial Realm were under its rule. Because of the slaughter of a large number of living beings and the destruction of the Eastern Sea Ancient Palace, it aroused the dissatisfaction of the various subordinate forces. Later on, the Taichu Celestial Palace's rule was overthrown under the combined resistance of the various subordinate forces. Mo Qingyun was quite surprised to learn such a secret from Nie Xingyi. He'd originally thought that the overlords of the Celestial Realm were the 9 great sacred sects and the 9 heavenly demon tribe. Who would have thought that the Taichu Celestial Palace had once reigned above these forces? The resentment here is very strong. Everyone be careful. Sensing the resentment in the surroundings, Mo Qingyun reminded the monster spirits around him with a grave expression. The monster spirits were disdainful of Mo Qingyun's reminder and didn't pay it much heed. As for Nie Xingyi, although he didn't show such a reaction, he also ignored Mo Qingyun's words. Seeing that the monster spirits didn't care, Mo Qingyun didn't say much and ignored them. He'd entered the Eastern Sea Ancient Palace mainly to seek opportunities, not to be a hired thug. He'd already done his duty by reminding the monster spirits out of goodwill. As for whether they listened or not, that had nothing to do with him. After walking with the monster spirits for a while, Mo Qingyun clearly felt that his hands and feet were tied. There are many inconveniences when working with these guys, he thought. It's better to separate from them. Just as Mo Qingyun was thinking this, they encountered a group of people led by 2 five-headed serpents. Those from the 9-headed serpent palace. Nie Xingyi's expression changed when he saw the group of monster spirits in front of him. He recognized them immediately. When Nie Xingyi recognized them, the other party also recognized him. They immediately sneered proudly and said, "So it's those from the evil dragon palace. I didn't expect to meet you here." When they saw Nie Xingyi and the other monster spirits, they surrounded them. Their intention couldn't be more obvious. A group of Heaven General Realm guys actually want to compete with us for opportunities. They're really courting death. Hey, isn't this kid Nie Quanxing's son? If he dies here, I wonder what Nie Quanxing will think. I'm sure he'll be very excited. He might even be grateful to us. The monsters from the nine-headed serpent palace were smug. Hearing their words, Nie Xingyi snorted coldly and said, "Before we fight, it's hard to say who will kill who." As Nie Xingyi spoke, he looked at Mo Qingyun, obviously hoping that Mo Qingyun would show his invincible might. In his opinion, Mo Qingyun's strength was invincible among the same level of Heaven General Realm. At this moment, Yang Wei of the nine-headed serpent palace sneered complacently. "You think you can fight us with just the likes of you? Is he dreaming?" As Yang Wei spoke, the aura emitted from his body began to climb. In the blink of an eye, the aura they emitted reached the level of the great deity realm. Chapter 32-36. How is this possible? How could you hide your strength and enter? Nie Xingyi was shocked to see Yang Wei and the other demons' performance. He found it hard to believe. Nie Xingyi's reaction made Yang Wei feel proud. He said, "It's a long time ago. The ancestor of the nine-headed dragon palace was a commander of the East Sea Lost Palace. He was later chased out by the East Sea Lost Palace and founded the nine-headed dragon palace himself. If it weren't for the seal in the East Sea Lost Palace, our heavenly gods would have been able to enter. Speaking of which, our ancestor has to thank them for chasing him out of the East Sea Lost Palace and avoiding that disaster." After listening to Yang Wei's story, Mo Qingyun was shocked. He didn't expect there to be such a secret. It wasn't surprising that the demons of the nine-headed dragon palace could hide their cultivation and enter the East Sea Lost Palace. "Mr. Mo, what do we do now? Can you stop them?" Seeing the situation in front of him, Nie Xingyi's expression was grave as he whispered to Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun was annoyed to hear Nie Xingyi's words. He rolled his eyes at him and said, "What do you think?" Mo Qingyun's question made Nie Xingyi speechless. He couldn't help but smile bitterly. His question was simply nonsense. Even if Mo Qingyun's strength was powerful, making him deal with a group of great deity realm powerhouses was also indeed too difficult for him. After asking Nie Xingyi, Mo Qingyun thought for a while and said, "Wait a moment. I'll try my best to hold them back. You find a chance to leave. As for the others, I can't do anything. They can only pray for themselves." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Nie Xingyi nodded with a grateful expression on his face. Under such circumstances, it was already very rare for Mo Qingyun to be able to do this. "Follow me and break out of the encirclement." As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, his figure flashed, and he charged toward a demon of the nine-headed dragon palace. Mo Qingyun was extremely fast. He was in front of him in the blink of an eye and punched him. Sky-shattering Tyrannosaurus fist. Mo Qingyun punched out, and a terrifying divine power condensed on his fist. At the same time, lines of astonishing nomological law threads erupted from his body. Seeing Mo Qingyun attack him, the demon of the nine-headed dragon palace immediately shouted angrily, "Kid, you're looking for..." Before he could finish his words, his eyes were filled with shock. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. The number and power of Mo Qingyun's threads of law were a level higher than his. It was completely different from what he knew. So strong. Upon seeing Mo Qingyun's strength, the demon from the nine-headed WRM palace showed some fear. After that, he didn't dare to fight Mo Qingyun head-on, and he prepared to dodge Mo Qingyun's punch. However, Mo Qingyun was too fast. Before he could dodge Mo Qingyun's attack, Mo Qingyun's fist was already nearing him. Mo Qingyun's actions immediately enraged him. He roared, "Kid, if you want to hurt me, you won't be able to escape." Manatee, heaven suppressing all. The demon of the nine-headed dragon palace roared angrily and charged toward Imo. The moment he took a step forward, the shadow of a huge bull condensed outside his body. Then, he charged toward Imo, trying to push Imo back. Break! Imo did not retreat in the face of his opponent's attack. Instead, he punched the bull shadow's head. Then there was a loud explosion. The bull's shadow dissipated in the blink of an eye. After destroying the bull shadow, Imo did not stop. His fists continued to land on his opponent's body. Bam! After being hit by Imo punch, the demon of the nine-headed dragon palace was immediately sent flying. Imo footsteps did not stop at all. He immediately walked over his opponent's body. Imo broke through the enemy's encirclement. Yi and the other demons did not hesitate and immediately followed behind him. Soon, Imo and the other demons broke through the encirclement and fled back the way they came. As he led everyone away, Imo said with a solemn expression, "You are no match for the demons of the nine-headed dragon palace. Leave the East Sea Lost Palace immediately. As long as you leave the East Sea Lost Palace, they will not dare to do anything to you." Upon hearing Imo words, Yi and the other demons revealed indignant expressions. They had entered the East Sea Lost Palace to seek opportunities. How could they leave so easily? At this moment, a tortoise-type monster beast said indignantly, "They may be strong, but we're no pushovers either. As long as Imo shares the burden of the three monsters, we might be able to contend with the remaining monsters of the nine-headed WIRM palace." After the tortoise demon finished speaking, a crab demon next to it said, "Young palace master Nya, the EC Lost Palace is a top force in the heaven realm. There must be a lot of treasures here. If we go back, we will miss out on such an opportunity." Nyeshingi could not help but be tempted by the demon's persuasion. He turned his head to look at Imo and said, "Mr. Imo, you are powerful. Why don't you?" Before Nyeshingi could finish, Imo face turned cold. He said, "Young Master Nya, please understand that I am only a helper you invited. I am not a slave of the evil dragon palace. In the current situation, I am already doing my best to take the risk and evacuate with you. If you want to fight for the treasures, please forgive me for not accompanying you. Now that we are close to the exit, you can do as you see fit." After Imo finished speaking, his figure flashed and separated from Yi and the other demons. Imo figure flashed a few times and completely disappeared from the eyes of Yi and the other demons. Seeing Imo actions, Yi and the other demons were dumbfounded. They did not expect Imo to be so straightforward. Yi was not dissatisfied with Imo actions. He felt that it was normal. Imo was only here to help. Now that he had brought them out safely, he had completed his mission. It was a little difficult to continue to let Imo take the risk and escort them to search for treasures in the East Sea Lost Palace. Forget it. Nyeshingi was also very straightforward and quickly made a decision. In the current situation, it was impossible for them to continue searching for treasures. Immediately, Nyeshingi no longer hesitated. He turned and rushed to the exit of the East Sea Lost Palace. Seeing Nyeshingi's actions, the other demons who came with him showed hesitation. Mu Chao, Tang Tong, Su Yunping, and the other demons hesitated for a while. Then they followed Nyeshingi and fled to the exit of the East Sea Lost Palace. The other demons stayed, ready to risk everything and see if they could gain something. Immediately, Gong Hanqing and Han Han begged the demons to stay, but they were chased by the demons of the nine-headed dragon palace. They fled in the East Sea Lost Palace. Imo Qingyan did not know what Nyeshingi and the other demons were doing. At this moment, he was already deep in the East Sea Lost Palace. Chapter 32-37. As he went deeper into the East Sea Ancient Palace, Missouri Qingyun found that the aura of resentment around him was becoming more and more intense. Some of the aura of resentment in front of him had almost solidified. Upon seeing this, Mo Qingyun slowed down his footsteps and raised his guard. The aura of resentment in front of him gave him a strong sense of danger, as if it would engulf him at any time. If I want to continue forward, I have to disperse this aura of resentment. Looking at the aura of resentment in front of him, Mo Qingyun did not hesitate at all and immediately slammed his palm forward. Immediately, a terrifying divine power blasted out from Mo Qingyun's palm. Chi chi chi. The divine power blasted into the aura of resentment and was immediately corroded by the aura of resentment, turning into a mist and dissipating. Such a situation shocked Mo Qingyun quite a bit, and his mood became even heavier. From this, it could be seen how terrifying the aura of resentment was. It was more terrifying than he had imagined. Even divine power is corroded. I hope it doesn't corrode the nomological threads. With a strong sense of expectation, Mo Qingyun summoned the nomological threads and blasted them into the aura of resentment in front of him. As soon as the nomological threads touched the aura of resentment, the same thing happened. They were wildly corroded by the aura of resentment. However, the nomological threads were more powerful than divine power and were not completely corroded in a short time. However, judging from the situation of the nomological threads' corrosion, it probably would not last long. Even the nomological threads can't disperse it. Do I have to stop here? Seeing the terrifying aura of resentment in front of him, Mo Qingyun frowned, and his heart suddenly sank. Now that things had come to this point, he was really unwilling to stop. Immediately, Mo Qingyun paced back and forth, thinking about how to disperse the aura of resentment. While Mo Qingyun was pondering, several silhouettes ran towards him. Behind them was a large group of silhouettes that didn't leave. Looking at the figures running toward him, Mo Qingyun frowned, and a sense of surprise rose in his heart. He originally thought that Nie Xingyi and the other demons would have left under the pursuit of the nine-headed dragon palace. Unexpectedly, there were still a few demons who were not afraid of death and stayed to continue exploring. Mr. Mo is in front. We're saved now. Seeing Mo Qingyun in front of them, Gong Hanxing and the other demons were pleasantly surprised, and they sped up. In the blink of an eye, they arrived beside Mo Qingyun and hid behind Mo Qingyun. Looking at their posture, it was obvious that they wanted to use Mo Qingyun as a shield. Seeing the actions of these demons, Mo Qingyun's expression turned cold. He was somewhat displeased with them. He had no friendship with these fellows, so he had no obligation to block a blade for them. Soon after, Mo Qingyun separated from them, maintaining a certain distance. After exchanging a few words with the demons, Mo Qingyun's attention landed on the resentment in front of him again. Seeing Mo Qingyun's reaction, Gong Hanxing and the others immediately wore unpleasant expressions. Before Gong Hanxing and the others could express their dissatisfaction, the group of nine-headed serpent palace's demonic beasts arrived in front of Mo Qingyun and the others. Hey, this guy has been here for a long time. He's so fast. Seeing Mo Qingyun on the side, Yang Wei was surprised and looked at Mo Qingyun curiously. Looking away from Mo Qingyun, Yang Wei looked at the resentment in front of him and sneered proudly. Why aren't you running anymore? Weren't you running very fast just now? Hearing Yang Wei's question, Gong Hanxing and the others looked at Mo Qingyun with solemn expressions and begged. Mr. Mo, we're all from the evil dragon demonic palace. You can't leave us to die. That's right. If we're killed, you won't be able to escape either. I'm the son of an elder of the Sky Shark sect. If you don't save me, I won't let this go. While Gong Hanxing and the others were begging for help, they were also threatening Mo Qingyun. Seeing the demonic beast's behavior, Mo Qingyun's disgust for them intensified. I already reminded you to leave the East Sea Ancient Palace as soon as possible. You didn't listen. How can you blame me now? Mo Qingyun looked at Yang Wei and the others and said, If you want to deal with them, I'm not interested. But don't bother me. Mo Qingyun ignored the demonic beasts and looked at the resentment in front of him again. Seeing Mo Qingyun's attitude, Gong Hanqing and the others were furious and glared at him. However, with the nine-headed serpent palace's demonic beasts around, they didn't dare act rashly. You know your place. Yang Xie smiled proudly and nodded in satisfaction when he heard Mo Qingyun's words. Mo Qingyun wasn't weak. If he interfered, they would be in trouble. Now, they were happy that Mo Qingyun wasn't willing to interfere. Yang Xie said to Yang Wei and the other demonic beasts, "We have important matters to attend to. Don't waste our time because of these guys. Let's get rid of them first." Yang Xie and the nine-headed serpent palace's demonic beasts attacked Gong Hanqing and the others. Soon, Gong Hanqing and the others were beaten up and could be killed at any time. Mo Qingyun didn't care about their situation at all. He condensed a ball of flame in his hand and thought, "The fire of civilization is called the origin flame. The level of his flame is extremely high. Perhaps it can dispel the resentment." With this thought, Mo Qingyun slammed his palm forward and blasted out a ball of origin flame. Crackle, crackle, the origin flame blasted into the resentment and immediately made a crisp sound like dry firewood being burned. At the same time, miserable screams were heard from the resentment. Damn brat, how dare he use the origin flame to burn us? Damn brat, I'll remember this. I don't want to die. I can't accept this. Horrifying screams were transmitted into everyone's ears from the resentment. Seeing this, not only were Gong Hanqing and the others stunned, but even the demonic beasts of the nine-headed serpent palace were stunned. None of them had expected such a situation. It was completely beyond their expectations. It's effective. Compared to the demonic beast's shock, Mo Qingyun was pleasantly surprised and immediately rushed into the resentment. Seeing Mo Qingyun's action, Gong Hanqing, Zhan Sheng, Yi Qi, and Shan Yinqing immediately rushed into the resentment. However, when the demons charged into the resentment, they were quickly swallowed up by it. The demonic beasts screamed as they were swallowed by the resentment. Their bodies mutated rapidly. In just a moment, they became extremely ferocious and emitted a monstrous resentment. Not only that, but the aura they emitted was also rising rapidly. "All of you must die." As the aura of the demonic beasts rose, they spoke coldly in a hoarse voice. Seeing such a situation, the demonic beasts of the nine-headed heavenly palace were struck with fear. The current situation had already exceeded his expectations and the scope of their control. End of chapter. Chapter 32-38. Outside the East Sea Ancient Palace. Nie Xingyi and the other demons followed Mo Qingyun's suggestion and came out of the East Sea Ancient Palace. Seeing Nie Xingyi and the other demons come out, Nie Quanhong's face darkened and he was very displeased. He didn't expect Nie Xingyi and the other demons to come out so quickly. What's going on? Why did they come out so quickly? Recalling Yang Guolong's words, Nie Quanhong's face darkened and he asked Nie Xingyi and the other demons. In his opinion, Nie Xingyi and the other demons came out so quickly because of the nine-headed dragon palace. Hearing Nie Quanhong's question, Nie Xingyi's face tensed up and he said, "Father, the ancestor of the nine-headed dragon palace has some connection with the East Sea Ancient Palace. He was once a commander of the East Sea Ancient Palace. Because he was driven out of the East Sea Ancient Palace, he established the nine-headed dragon palace. Although so many years have passed, they still have a way to enter the East Sea Ancient Palace. The people who entered the East Sea Ancient Palace were all great gods. We were forced to come out of the East Sea Ancient Palace." Nie Xingyi's narration shocked Nie Quanhong. Obviously, he didn't expect there to be such a secret. Immediately, he turned to look at Yang Guolong and said coldly, "Yang Guolong, you're sinister. I'll remember this." In Nie Quanhong's opinion, Yang Guolong had a way to let the great gods enter the East Sea Ancient Palace. However, he didn't show it. He was waiting for the people of the evil dragon demonic palace to go in so that he could give them a hard time. Yang Guolong didn't care about Nie Quanhong's anger at all. He said, Nie Quang Hong, what do you mean by this? If we really want to talk about it, the East Sea Lost Palace belongs to the Nine-Headed Serpent Palace. I'm doing you a huge favor by letting your people in. Hearing Yang Guolong's words, Nie Quan Hang snorted again and silently remembered this. Ignoring Yang Guolong, Nie Quan Hang turned his head and looked at Nie Xingyi curiously. He asked, "You guys came out. Where did the others go?" Nie Xingyi replied, "Mr. Mo covered us to the exit. Gong Hanxing and the other demons wanted him to continue protecting us and explore the lost palace of Donghai. In the end, this angered Mr. Mo, and Mr. Mo left immediately." Next, Nie Xingyi explained everything that had happened in the East Sea Ancient Palace. After listening to Nie Xingyi's explanation, Nie Quanghong nodded and said, "This Mo Qingyun is not bad. He has his own principles. I owe him a favor this time. As for the life and death of Gong Hanxing and the other demons, we don't have to care. They asked for it." Nie Xingyi nodded, agreeing with Evil Frenzy. Next, they stood guard outside the East Sea Lost Palace, waiting for Mo Qingyun and the other demons to come out. Inside the East Sea Lost Palace. Retreat. Seeing the changes in Gong Hanxing's demonic beasts, Yang Wei didn't dare to stay any longer. He immediately led Yang Xie and the other demonic beasts away. In just a brief moment, the auras of Gong Hanxing and the beasts were close to the Heaven God realm. It would not be long before they broke through to the Heaven God realm and had the combat power of a Heaven God. Once Gong Hanxing and the other demons had the combat power of a Heaven God, they would be in a bad situation. They might even die here. Yang Wei and the others were very decisive. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared and retreated to the exit of the East Sea Lost Palace. "Where do you think you're going? My sect died so miserably. Don't think you'll have it easy. I'm so lonely. Stay with me." Seeing that Yang Wei and the others were about to leave, Gong Hanxing and the other demons shouted angrily and chased after them. When Gong Hanxing and the others chased after them, they were still crying and screaming. It was chilling. However, it seemed that they were no longer themselves. Their minds had been tainted by resentment. Gong Hanxing and the other demons were extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, they caught up with Yang Wei and the others and quickly closed the distance between them. Seeing that Gong Hanxing and the others were getting closer and closer, the demons of the Nine-Headed Dragon Palace panicked. They were at a loss. "Young Lord, you go first. We'll stop them." Seeing that Gong Hanxing and the others were getting closer and closer, Yang Wei, Yang Xie, and the other demons immediately went to intercept them. Seeing that their subordinates had gone to intercept Gong Hanxing and the others, Yang Wei and the other demons did not dare to delay and fled at full speed to the exit of the East Sea Lost Palace. With the two demons running at full speed, they quickly reached the exit and rushed in. Whoosh! The scene before them blurred, and they left the East Sea Lost Palace. Seeing that Yang Wei and Yang Xie had come out, Yang Guolong was shocked and had a strong sense of uneasiness. He could see that something must have happened in the East Sea Lost Palace from the sorry state of Yang Wei and Yang Xie. It seems that the Evil Dragon Palace is not the only unlucky one. Seeing Yang Wei and Yang Xie, Nie Quanhang smiled proudly and felt much better. The Nine-Headed Dragon Palace had returned empty-handed. This was the happiest thing for him. Oomph. Yang Guolong snorted at Nie Quanhang's mockery and continued to ask Yang Wei and Yang Xie, "Tell me, what happened in the East Sea Lost Palace?" Hearing Yang Guolong's question, Yang Wei answered, "Originally, we had trapped the guys from the Evil Dragon Palace with the advantage of our realm. But there was a boy in the Evil Dragon Palace who was so strong that he crushed Guling with his Heaven General Realm cultivation. That brat defeated Guling and fled with the people of the Evil Dragon Demonic Palace. We chased him all the way to this place. Under the gazes of the demons, Yang Wei recounted the incident without missing a single detail. After hearing Yang Wei's words, not only was Yang Guolong shocked, but Nie Quanhang was also shocked. They did not expect the resentment in the East Sea Lost Palace to be so terrifying. It seems that Mr. Mo saved me twice. Hearing Yang Wei and Yang Wei's words, Nie Xingyi felt a lingering fear. Nie Quanhang frowned and thought, "It seems that I still underestimated him. I didn't expect him to have such a trick up his sleeve." Compared to Nie Quanhang and his son's shock and exclamation, Yang Guolong's face was gloomy. He said angrily, "Damn that boy. How dare he ruin my plan? If he dies in the East Sea Lost Palace, I'll let it go. If he comes out of the East Sea Lost Palace, I'll definitely teach him a lesson." Yang Guolong felt that if Mo Qingyun had not saved Nie Xingyi and the other demons, there would not have been such an unforeseen event. Looking at the angry Yang Guolong, Nie Quanhang was secretly pleased. He said, "Yang Guolong, Mr. Mo is from the Evil Dragon Palace. If you want to attack him, you'll have to ask my fist first." Nie Quanhang's attitude made Yang Guolong furious, but he did not refute. Then, the demons waited outside the East Sea Lost Palace, waiting for Mo Qingyun to come out. As far as they knew, Mo Qingyun was the only survivor in the East Sea Lost Palace. Chapter 32-39. Under the siege of Gong Hanqing and the other demons, the remaining demons of the nine-headed dragon palace were slaughtered in the blink of an eye. After slaughtering the demons of the nine-headed dragon palace, Gong Hanqing and the other demons did not stay behind and immediately rushed into the interior of the East Sea Ancient Palace. Soon, they rushed into the resentment, but they were no longer afraid of the erosion of resentment. If one observed carefully, they would discover that the direction they were heading in was the direction Mo Qingyun went. Mo Qingyun did not know about the arrival of Gong Hanqing and the other demons. Now, he was searching one palace after another. After searching several palaces in a row, Mo Qingyun's harvest was not great. He did not encounter anything precious. Looks like when the East Sea Ancient Palace was destroyed, the precious items in the palace were all taken away. Coming out of the palace, Missouri Qingyun showed a disappointed expression. He was very dissatisfied with his harvest. At this moment, Mo Qingyun was about to enter the next palace to see if there were any gains when several figures approached him rapidly. As soon as these figures approached, they erupted with a terrifying aura, crushing toward Mo Qingyun. "Great God! No, this is the aura of a celestial god. Several celestial god powerhouses are approaching." Sensing the aura that enveloped him, Mo Qingyun's expression turned solemn, and he immediately raised his guard. Now, he did not have the 100-battle heaven splitting armor. Facing celestial god powerhouses, there was still some danger. Just as Mo Qingyun was on guard, he saw the owners of these auras clearly and said in shock, "It's actually them." Looking at them, they seemed to have lost consciousness. While Mo Qingyun was cursing in his heart, Gong Hanqing and the other demons approached and flew toward him together. "You deserve to die. I'm going to kill you. You caused me so much trouble. I'm going to drag you to the grave with me." Hoarse voices came out from the mouths of Gong Hanqing and the other demons. Hearing their voices, Mo Qingyun's expression turned solemn, and he hurriedly pulled away from them. When Mo Qingyun retreated, a puzzled feeling arose in his heart, and he thought to himself, "What's wrong with these guys? How did it become like this?" Without the 100-battle heaven-splitting armor, Mo Qingyun's defense was greatly reduced, but his speed was still extremely fast. As he retreated at full speed, the speed of Gong Hanqing and the other demons could not be compared to his. Mo Qingyun's figure flashed a few times before he shook off Gong Hanqing and the other demons and escaped their perception. A moment later, Mo Qingyun came to a palace and continued his search. He wanted to see if he could find anything. After searching for a while, Mo Qingyun showed a disappointed expression. There was still nothing in the palace. After a few fruitless searches, Mo Qingyun came to a conclusion. He thought to himself, based on the current situation, there should not be any treasures in these ordinary palaces. I can only take a look at the secret vaults and see if there are any treasures that slipped through the net. With such thoughts in mind, Mo Qingyun did not waste any more time on the palace and began to search for the secret vault of the East Sea Lost Palace. While Mo Qingyun was searching for the secret vault, he met Gong Hanqing and the other demons again. They were moving around like zombies. However, their current cultivation base was much stronger than before. All of them had advanced to the mid and late heavenly god realm. At this rate, it would not take long for them to advance to the divine king realm. Sensing the strength of Gong Han Qing and the other demons, Mo Qingyun was shocked, and a strong sense of uneasiness arose in his heart. He thought to himself, "This can't go on. Once they advance to the divine king realm, I will be in danger. I must get rid of them so that I can search the East Sea Lost Palace in peace and look for the treasures and wealth that I have missed." Mo Qingyun thought and made a decision. He was ready to launch a counterattack. It was not his style to keep evading and evading. It was okay to retreat strategically once in a while, but to keep evading and evading was not what Mo Qingyun wanted. The sealed gate. Mo Qingyun's figure flashed and came in front of Han Hanxio, slapping him with his palm. Immediately, a light gate with a restrained aura blasted out from Mo Qingyun's palm. The sealed gate blasted into Han Hanxio's body, and the aura that Han Hanxio exuded began to weaken rapidly. In a few breaths, the aura that he exuded fell back to the level of a great god. Mo Qingyun didn't stop there. He continued to attack Gong Hanqing and the other demons. When Han Hanxio was attacked by Mo Qingyun, Gong Hanqing and the other demons were immediately alarmed and rushed towards Mo Qingyun. However, with Mo Qingyun's speed, how could they catch up with Mo Qingyun? Soon, under Mo Qingyun's continuous attacks, the cultivation of Gong Hanqing and the other demons were all suppressed. After suppressing the cultivation of Gong Hanqing and the other demonic beasts, Mo Qingyun's lips curled up. A strong battle intent arose. He said, "Only the cultivation of the great god realm. I can fight with them." As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he moved and attacked Han Hanxio, who was closest to him. When he arrived in front of Han Hanxio, Mo Qingyun punched out and a terrifying divine power erupted. Then, the divine power mixed with the threads of laws crushed down on Han Hanxio. Boom! A loud sound was heard. Under Mo Qingyun's punch, Han Hanxio was directly blasted into the ground and could not get up for a long time. Looking at him, even if he broke free from the ground, he probably did not have much combat strength left. Seeing the power of his attack, Mo Qingyun had a rough understanding of his situation. As long as he did not fight against a group of demons, it would not be difficult for him to deal with them one by one. With this thought in mind, Mo Qingyun stopped thinking about it and began to attack them from all directions. With Mo Qingyun's speed that was comparable to a god king's, it was not difficult for him to dodge the attacks of Gong Hanqing and the other demons. Moreover, Gong Hanqing and the others had now lost their consciousness. At this moment, they were like cows that were led by the nose by Mo Qingyun and did everything according to Mo Qingyun's instructions. Just like that. About an hour later, under Mo Qingyun's attack, Gong Hanqing and the other demons were killed. Although Gong Hanqing and the others were killed, to Mo Qingyun's surprise, their aura was still slowly rising. Looking at the corpses of Gong Hanqing and the other demons in front of him, Mo Qingyun's heart skipped a beat, and he had a bold idea. These guys are now at the heavenly god realm. It should be good to refine them into demon deities. With this idea in mind, Mo Qingyun began to refine them without hesitation. He thought, "I wonder if their strength will increase after I refine them into demon deities and throw them into resentment. Refining them into demon deities will be a good gain from this trip to the East Sea Ancient Palace, even if there are no other gains." With this thought, Mo Qingyun's mood improved, and he focused on refining Gong Hanqing and the others. A month passed quickly. After a month of hard work, Gong Hanqing and the other demons were all refined. What made Mo Qingyun happy was that even if they were refined into demon deities, their strength still seemed to increase in resentment. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun began to wait for them to advance to the God King realm. Chapter 3240. The 5 demon deities need to absorb more resentment to advance to the divine king realm. Looking at the 5 demon deities in front of him, Mo Qingyun decided to ignore them and take advantage of this time to search the secret vault. Mo Qingyun had just turned around when he suddenly had a new idea. Millions of living beings in the East Sea Lost Palace have been annihilated. There are many remnant souls here. I can use the gate of reincarnation to revive one to lead the way. With this thought in mind, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and immediately used the gate of reincarnation. Soon, a great god of the Dragon Clan walked out of the gate of reincarnation. Mo Qingyun revived the Dragon Clan because the Dragon Clan was the real master of the East Sea Lost Palace. Compared to other living beings, the Dragon Clan was more likely to know the location of the secret vault. Aolai greets my benefactor. The 5-clawed white dragon walked out of the gate of reincarnation and bowed respectfully to Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun waved his hand indifferently in response to Aolai's bow and said, "No need to be so polite. I resurrected you because I need your help. Please speak, my benefactor." Aolai looked like he was all ears. Mo Qingyun did not stand on ceremony and directly told him his thoughts. "I resurrected you because I want you to tell me where the secret vault of the East Sea Lost Palace is." Mo Qingyun's frankness and straightforwardness made Aolai look at him with even more kindness and admiration. Compared to those who try to hide things, Mo Qingyun's frank words showed his magnanimity and integrity. "Benefactor, you are in a hurry to find the secret vault. Are you in urgent need of cultivation resources?" Looking at Mo Qingyun in front of him, Aolai thought for a while and asked Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun nodded and said, "That's right. I used up all my cultivation resources not long ago. I came to the East Sea Lost Palace this time to replenish them." "Do you know where the secret vault of the East Sea Lost Palace is?" Those who were resurrected through the gate of reincarnation would lose part of their memories from their previous lives. Mo Qingyun was a little worried now. Aolai's lost memories of his past life were related to the secret vault. "I know." Aolai nodded and said, "Benefactor, please follow me. I'll take you to the treasury." As soon as Aolai finished speaking, his body moved, preparing to rush out of the region of the fire of civilization and enter the boundless resentment. "Wait!" Seeing Aolai's actions, Mo Qingyun immediately shouted loudly, stopping his footsteps. Hearing Mo Qingyun shout, Aolai was very puzzled and turned to look at him. Mo Qingyun waved his arm and opened a gap in the fire of civilization. The East Sea Lost Palace is now filled with endless resentment. If you rush in recklessly, you will be eroded by the resentment. While Mo Qingyun was explaining, he raised his finger and pointed at Gong Hanqing and the other demons. They were eroded by the resentment and became like this. Hearing Mo Qingyun's explanation, Aolai felt a sense of lingering fear in his heart and felt some gratitude toward Mo Qingyun. If not for Mo Qingyun's reminder, he would not have ended up well if he rushed into the resentment. Seeing that Aolai understood, Mo Qingyun said to him, "Stay in the region of the fire of civilization and guide me." "Okay." Aolai nodded. Immediately, Mo Qingyun and Aolai went to the secret vault of the East Sea Lost Palace. About an hour later, under Aolai's guidance, Mo Qingyun came to a treasure vault. However, to Mo Qingyun's disappointment, the treasure vault had been emptied. Not a single coin was left. Aolai was helpless in the face of such a situation. He said, "It seems that those people destroyed my Eastern Sea Dragon Palace and emptied our treasury." Sigh. Aolai's answer disappointed Mo Qingyun, and he could not help but sigh. It seemed that this trip to the East Sea Lost Palace would only yield a few demon immortals. Although there's nothing else, having a demon immortal by my side is better than nothing. Mo Qingyun comforted himself in his heart, and his mood improved a lot. The disappointment he felt just now was swept away. If Gong Hanqing and the other demons could break through to the Divine King realm, he would basically be unimpeded in the sea of dividing realms. As for the pursuit of the Soul Summoner Patriarch and Divine King Xinghe, he would not have any concerns. Let's leave. Seeing that the treasure vault had been emptied, Mo Qingyun did not want to stay any longer and walked out. As Mo Qingyun walked out of the treasure vault, Ao Lai suddenly said, "Benefactor, although the treasure vault of the East Sea Dragon Palace has been emptied, I'm afraid that some of the secret vaults may not have been found. I'll take you there." Okay. Hearing this, Mo Qingyun was pleasantly surprised and looked forward to it. Immediately, Mo Qingyun followed behind Ao Lai and searched the East Sea Dragon Palace. Just as Ao Lai had said, some of the secret vaults had not been completely plundered. Next, as Mo Qingyun plundered, he slowly gained some benefits. He obtained some cultivation resources and celestial crystals. Although the amount wasn't particularly large, the number of sky crystals on Mo Qingyun's body had once again exceeded 3 million. The East Sea Ancient Palace was very large, and there were countless palaces of various sizes. Even with Ao Lai leading the way, Mo Qingyun spent nearly 2 months to search the entire East Sea Ancient Palace. In these 2 months, Mo Qingyun's harvest was very gratifying and far exceeded his expectations. Now, the number of heaven crystals in his possession had once again broken through the 30 million mark. As for the various cultivation resources, there were countless of them. Many of them were unique to the Sea of Dividing Realms in the Divine Territory. In addition, Mo Qingyun also obtained a few powerful superpowers in the East Sea Ancient Palace. These superpowers are all at the Heavenly God and Divine King level. They are much stronger than the Tyrant Dragon Sky Shattering Fist. Looking at the superpowers in his hands, Mo Qingyun was pleasantly surprised and looked forward to it. He said, "What I lack now is powerful superpowers. Now that I have obtained these superpowers, they make up for my shortcoming." Mo Qingyun muttered to himself. He no longer hesitated and began to cultivate the superpowers. Heavenly God superpowers, Divine Lightning Dragon, Transforming Wave. Under execution, Divine Power transforms into a primordial black dragon, causing terrifying destructive power. Divine King Elementary Divine Ability, Black Fiend Dragon Sky Devouring Roar. Divine Power transforms into a Black Fiend Dragon, swallowing heaven and earth, intimidating the Divine Soul. Under Mo Qingyun's reading, the information of the superpowers entered his line of sight one after another. Sweeping through the superpowers, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and picked up the Divine Lightning Dragon, Transforming Wave first, and began to cultivate. This superpower's grade was the lowest. It was the easiest to cultivate and required the least amount of time. Seeing Mo Qingyun cultivate, Ao Lai guarded by the side and also cultivated to adapt to his body. Chapter 32:41. Time passed by quickly. 3 months passed unknowingly as Mo Qingyun cultivated wholeheartedly. After 3 months of cultivation, Mo Qingyun comprehended the Divine Thunder Dragon Transformation Wave. He had yet to fully master the Divine King level Dark Demonic Dragon Sky Devouring Roar. He could only barely cast it. As for the other divine abilities, Mo Qingyun had yet to cultivate them as he did not want to bite off more than he could chew. In the blink of an eye, it's been almost half a year since I entered the East Sea Ancient Palace. It's time to leave. Mo Qingyun stood up and walked towards the Divine Specters. He put them away and left the East Sea Ancient Palace. Soon, Mo Qingyun arrived in front of the Divine Specters and sensed their aura. Gong Hanqing, Zhan Sheng, and Shan Yunqing's cultivation have reached the Divine King level. Han Hanqiu and Yi Qi are still a little short. After sensing the cultivation of the Divine Specters, Mo Qingyun showed a hesitant expression, considering whether to wait a little longer. While Mo Qingyun was thinking, he was also observing the changes in Han Hanqiu and Yi Qi's aura. After observing for a while, Mo Qingyun gave up waiting and decided to leave the East Sea Ancient Palace immediately. He found that there was almost no change in Han Hanqiu and Yi Qi's aura. This also meant that the increase in their cultivations had reached a limit. In this way, he did not know how long it would take for them to break through to the Divine King level. Mo Qingyun raised his hand and put away all 5 divine specters. He turned to look at Ao Lai and said, "I'm ready to leave the East Sea Ancient Palace. What are your plans next?" Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Ao Lai hesitated for a moment and said, "If you don't mind, Ao Lai is willing to follow you and obey your orders from now on." Seeing Ao Lai's action, Mo Qingyun showed a hesitant expression, considering whether to bring him along. Ao Lai's cultivation was only at the Great Divine Realm. Mo Qingyun did not have much use for him to travel with him. "In that case, you can follow me." Mo Qingyun thought about it and decided to bring Ao Lai along. On the way, if he cultivated, he could let Ao Lai control the flying boat. Then, Mo Qingyun and Ao Lai rushed out of the East Sea Ancient Palace. Outside the East Sea Lost Palace, although half a year had passed, the people from the Evil Dragon Palace and a 9-headed Dragon Palace were still waiting outside. Looking at the East Sea Ancient Palace in front of him, Nie Quan Heng shook his head helplessly and said, "It's been half a year, but little friend Mo still hasn't come out. He's probably dead. There's no point in continuing to wait. Let's go back to the Evil Dragon Demonic Palace." When Yang Guolong heard Evil Maniac's words, a look of disappointment appeared on his face. He no longer had the patience to wait. The main reason he'd insisted on staying behind was because he'd been watching Nie Quan Hong and the other demons. Now that he saw Nie Quan Hong's current state, he didn't want to stay any longer and waste his time. "Get ready. We're going back too." Yang Guolong stood up and informed Yang Wei and the other demons before taking out the flying boat. At this moment, when the two sides were about to leave, there was a wave of energy fluctuation at the exit of the East Sea Ancient Palace. Sensing the movement at the exit of the East Sea Ancient Palace, Nie Quan Heng, Yang Guolong, and the other demons trembled and turned their heads to look. Then, 2 figures appeared in a flash and entered their sight. Mr. Mo. Seeing Mo Qingyun come out, Nie Quan Heng was surprised and shocked. He didn't expect Mo Qingyun to come out of the East Sea Ancient Palace at this time. As for Ao Lai, Nie Quan Heng didn't ask much about it. He planned to ask in detail later. Seeing Mo Qingyun come out of the East Sea Ancient Palace, Yang Guolong also showed a surprised smile on his face and said, "Boy, you came out at the right time. If you had come out for a while, I might have left. It seems that the heavens are looking after me. What you got in the East Sea Ancient Palace will be given to me after all." Seeing Yang Guolong's reaction, Nie Quan Hong's expression became serious, and he stood in front of Mo Qingyun. Seeing Nie Quan Hong's action, Yang Guolong's face darkened and a strong anger arose. He could naturally see that Nie Quan Heng was going to make things difficult for him and was ready to shield Mo Qingyun. Seeing that Nie Quan Heng dared to make a move, Yang Guolong didn't immediately make a move. Instead, he sneered and said, "Nie Quan Heng, are you going to burn the bridge after crossing the river? Are you going to take all the treasures that boy got?" Hearing Yang Guolong's words, Nie Quan Hong's face darkened and he shouted, "Yang Guolong, don't slander me. I won't be like you and covet the things of Junior." Yang Guolong didn't care about Nie Quan Hong's defense at all. He turned his head to look at Mo Qingyun and said with a smile, "Boy, do you really think that Nie Quan Heng is protecting you now? He has already discussed with me before. After you come out, I will divide the things you got from the East Sea Ancient Palace equally with him. I just didn't expect that he would go back on his word and want to take all the things that you have." Yang Guolong's words angered Nie Quan Heng, and he shouted, "Yang Guolong, don't talk nonsense. I'm not a despicable person like you." Yang Guolong didn't care about Nie Quan Hong's defense at all. He still looked at Mo Qingyun with a faint smile and said, "What's the use of explaining to me? You should explain to that boy." Immediately, Nie Quan Heng looked at Mo Qingyun and wanted to explain to Mo Qingyun. Before Nie Quan Heng could say anything, Mo Qingyun raised his hand and interrupted him. "Palace Master Nie, you don't have to explain to me. I'm on your side, so I might not be robbed by you." But if I'm on his side, I'm bound to be robbed by him. I know how to choose. Mo Qingyun's answer made Nye Quanhang happy. He looked at Yang Guolong proudly. It seemed that it was impossible for Yang Guolong to sow discord. Yang Guolong's expression changed when he saw this. He hesitated for a while before saying, "Boy, I hope you won't regret it later and be deceived by someone's disguise." After Yang Guolong finished speaking, he left the East Sea Ancient Palace with the people of the Nine-Headed Dragon Palace. Mo Qingyun didn't care about Yang Guolong's words at all. Now that he had 3 divine King Realm ghosts under his control, it wouldn't be easy for Nye Quanhang to do anything to him. Nye Quanhang's expression relaxed when he saw Yang Guolong leave. He said, "Little friend Mo, it seems that you're fine. That's great. Thank you for saving Nye Xingyi's life so many times. I'm just fulfilling my promise." Mo Qingyun didn't mind Nye Quanhang's gratitude. He waved his hand and said, "Palace Master Nye, I still have matters to attend to. I can't stay here for long. I'll bid you farewell." As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he took out his flying boat and prepared to leave with Ao Lai. Chapter 3242. Wait. Seeing Mo Qingyun's action, Nye Quanhang's expression changed, and he hurriedly shouted at Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun frowned when he heard Nye Quanhang's words. He looked at him curiously and said, "Palace Master Nye, is there anything else you need from me? Based on my understanding of Yang Guolong, he won't give up so easily. I'll escort you out of the East Sea." Nye Quanhang stopped Mo Qingyun and expressed his thoughts to Mo Qingyun with a concerned expression. "You've helped twice in the Lost Palace of the East Sea. I don't have anything to give you, so take this as my thanks." Mo Qingyun felt grateful when he heard Nye Quanhang's words. He said, "Palace Lord Nye, I appreciate your kindness, but there's no need for you to escort me out of the Eastern Sea. I can protect myself. If Yang Guolong doesn't know what's good for him, I'll make him suffer." Mo Qingyun's response shook Nye Quanhang to the core, and his expression changed drastically. He could feel that Mo Qingyun's aura had changed greatly after coming out of the Lost Palace of the East Sea. It seems that he encountered a great opportunity in the Lost Palace of the East Sea. Thinking of this, Nye Quanhang stopped trying to persuade Mo Qingyun. He agreed and said, "Young friend Mo, I will remember your kindness. If you have time in the future, you can come to the Evil Dragon Demonic Palace often. Let me show my hospitality as a host." Mo Qingyun nodded indifferently at Nye Quanhang's kindness and left on the boat. Seeing Mo Qingyun's figure disappear, Nye Quanhang retracted his gaze and said, Although little friend Mo was born in the periphery, he's a true dragon among men. Just one experience in the Lost Palace of the East Sea is enough for him to be reborn. If I'm not wrong, it won't be long before his name spreads throughout the Sea of Dividing Realms." Nye Xingyi was shocked when he heard Nye Quanhang's comment. He said, "Dad, I can see that Mr. Mo is excellent, but is he as good as you said? Exaggerated?" Nye Quanhang chuckled and didn't explain. Sweeping his gaze over Mu Chao and the others, Nye Quanhang said, "Since the matter with the East Sea Lost Palace is over, let's head back." With that, Nye Quanhang led Mu Chao and the others back to the Evil Dragon Palace. At the other side, Mo Qingyun separated from Nye Quanhang and the other monsters. He steered the Shadow Word airship to the west of the Sea of Dividing Divine Realm. However, Mo Qingyun did not go far before he was targeted by a group of people. "That kid is actually separated from Nye Quanhang. The heavens are really helping me." After learning of Mo Qingyun's whereabouts, Yang Guolong was pleasantly surprised. He immediately led his men to chase after Mo Qingyun. About 2 hours later, under the pursuit of Yang Guolong and the other monsters, they caught up with Mo Qingyun and blocked Mo Qingyun's path. Seeing that his path was blocked, Mo Qingyun did not show any emotion. He looked ahead calmly. With his current combat strength, Yang Guolong and the other monsters would only be courting death if they tried to stop him. "I thought you would seek protection from Nye Quanhang. I didn't expect you to choose to leave alone." Looking at Mo Qingyun on the Shadow Word airship, Yang Guolong looked smug and sneered. I have to say, your actions have really won my heart. As Yang Guolong spoke, the way he looked at the shadow sword flying ship had also changed greatly. He could naturally see that Mo Qingyun's airship was at the godly king level. Even with his status, it was not easy for him to buy a flying boat of this level. Immediately, his gaze toward Mo Qingyun became even more greedy. In his opinion, Mo Qingyun should have obtained the Shadow Word airship from the Lost Palace of the East Sea. If he could even obtain the Shadow Word airship, Mo Qingyun must have obtained countless good things in the Lost Palace of the East Sea. Sensing Yang Guolong's gaze, Mo Qingyun sneered at him. Have you ever thought that you might be courting death by blocking my airship? Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Yang Guolong and the other monsters were stunned. They thought they had heard wrongly. However, after a short moment of shock, they all burst into laughter. A junior with heavenly general cultivation facing a group of godly kings, divine gods, and great gods actually said that they were courting death. This was simply the biggest joke in the world. Father, this kid is so scared that he can't even speak coherently. He even said the wrong thing. After Yang Wei recovered from his daze, he revealed a smug sneer and said a mocking sentence. As soon as Yang Wei's words fell, Yang Xie sneered and looked at Mo Qingyun in front of him. Kid, if you don't want to be tortured, hand over the things you obtained from the Lost Palace of the East Sea obediently. We'll give you a quick death later. While Yang Wei and Yang Xie were feeling proud, Yang Guolong did not say anything and looked confident. Looking at the expressions of the monsters in front of him, Mo Qingyun shook his head helplessly and said, You still don't know that you're about to die. How sad. After Mo Qingyun's words, Yang Guolong and the other monsters laughed again as if they had heard the funniest joke. At this time, even Yang Guolong could not maintain his calm. He looked at Mo Qingyun mockingly and said, Kid, if I didn't know your cultivation base, I would have thought that you're a godly, venerable expert. Without waiting for Yang Guolong to finish his words, Mo Qingyun took out one item after another. As Mo Qingyun took out all kinds of treasures, Yang Guolong and the other monsters' gazes immediately became excited. That's a 10-billion-year-old dragon jade coral of the East Sea. He actually has such an item. Look at those heaven crystals. There are at least 30 million of them, right? What's the point of having so many heaven crystals? The divine ability manuals in front of him should all be at the godly king level. This kid's harvest in the Lost Palace of the East Sea is really frightening. However, these will soon be ours. Congratulations to the Palace Lord for obtaining so many treasures. Looking at the things in front of Mo Qingyun, Yang Guolong and the other monsters were excited as if those things were already theirs. Under the excited gazes of Yang Guolong and the other monsters, Mo Qingyun calmly nodded at them and said, I'll leave the things here. If you want them, feel free to come and take them. Seeing Mo Qingyun's action, Yang Guolong nodded in satisfaction and said, Kid, you're quite tactful. Then I'll give you a quick death. Yang Wei, Yang Xie, go and collect those things, then deal with this kid. Hearing Yang Guolong's order, Yang Wei and Yang Xie quickly nodded and flew towards Mo Qingyun. However, just as they approached Mo Qingyun, they were enveloped by a terrifying aura. Sensing this aura, Yang Guolong and the other monsters' expressions changed greatly, producing a strong sense of panic. This aura came from a godly king expert. There was a godly king expert hiding nearby. Chapter 3243. A black figure surrounded by black energy and emitting a terrifying resentment suddenly appeared in front of Mo Qingyun. Seeing the appearance of the black figure, he rushed towards Yang Wei and Yang Guoli and grabbed them. Weier, Xie, be careful. Seeing the black shadow rushing towards Yang Wei and Yang Guolong, Yang Guolong's expression trembled. His eyes were filled with intense shock. He didn't expect such an unforeseen event to happen. As Yang Guolong shouted, the black figure arrived in front of Yang Wei and Yang Guolong and captured them easily. After capturing Yang Wei and Yang Guoli, the black figure flashed and appeared behind Mo Qingyun. This action was undoubtedly to show the demons that he would listen to Mo Qingyun. I didn't expect this kid to have such an expert by his side. Seeing this scene, Yang Guolong's expression trembled, and the way he looked at Mo Qingyun changed greatly. For a Heaven General Realm cultivator to be protected by a Divine King Realm cultivator, it was clear how terrifying his identity was. When Yang Guolong realized this, he immediately lowered his posture and begged Mo Qingyun, "Little brother, this old man had eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai before. Please forgive me for offending you. I beg you to let Wei, and Sir go. I am willing to compensate you for what happened just now. If you have any requests, just let me know." When Yang Guolong opened his mouth to speak, Yang Wei and Yang Xie clearly saw the appearance of the shadow and immediately revealed shocked expressions. It's him. He has broken through to the Divine King realm. How is this possible? How can this kid control them with his Heaven General Realm cultivation? At this moment, Yang Wei and Yang Xie were shocked and jealous of Mo Qingyun. How could Mo Qingyun do that? How could he control Gong Hanqing and the other demons? Moreover, Gong Hanqing and the other demons had reached the Divine King realm. Seeing Yang Wei and Yang Guolong's reaction, Yang Guolong was shocked. He quickly asked them, "Wei Xie, what's going on? Why are you so shocked?" Hearing Yang Guolong's question, Yang Wei immediately replied, "Father, he is the one we mentioned before. He is one of the demons that were infected by resentment. I didn't expect him to break through to the Divine King realm. But we don't understand why he would listen to Mo Qingyun." Yang Wei's explanation caused the shock in Yang Guolong's heart to become even more intense. From the looks of it, Mo Qingyun did not have any powerful protectors by his side. In other words, Mo Qingyun did not have a powerful background. His previous worries were unnecessary. When Yang Guolong thought of this, the worry in his heart immediately lessened. Immediately, Yang Guolong's attitude towards Mo Qingyun became cold again. He said, "Mr. Mo, even if you have powerful means and many trump cards, you are all alone. Do you really want to go against the nine-headed dragon palace?" Mo Qingyun curled his lip in disdain when he heard Yang Guolong's words. He said, "It's just the nine-headed dragon palace. I wouldn't have bothered with it at first, but you don't know what's good for you. You just have to come and offend me. I have no choice but to flatten you. Cut the crap. If you want to live under my hands, it'll depend on your abilities." Seeing Mo Qingyun's attitude, Yang Guolong understood that it was impossible to change Mo Qingyun's mind. "Kill!" Yang Guolong called out coldly. His figure flashed as he took the initiative to attack Mo Qingyun. He said, "Do you think a Divine King puppet can fight against a true Divine King? If that's what you really think, then I'll have to tell you clearly that you are too naive." Mo Qingyun did not care about Yang Guolong's attack at all. He smiled mockingly and said, "Who told you that I only have one Divine King ghost?" As Mo Qingyun spoke, he raised his hand and summoned Zhan Sheng and the other demons. Immediately, terrifying auras appeared around Mo Qingyun. Seeing this, Yang Guolong's expression trembled. His eyes were filled with intense shock. Among the ghosts under Mo Qingyun's control, there were 2 Divine Kings and 2 Quasi-Divine Kings. Even if he was a God King, he would still die here today when faced with such a force. Thinking of this, Yang Guolong looked at Yang Wei and Yang Xie unwillingly. He said, "Kid, I'm done for today. If you dare to hurt my son, I won't let you go." Yang Guolong's figure flashed as soon as he finished speaking. He was ready to abandon the demons and escape. He knew very well that if he did not leave, he would only be buried with them. If he left, he could still find reinforcements and think of a way to save Yang Wei and Yang Xie. That's a good idea. Unfortunately, you can't leave. Seeing Yang Guolong's actions, Mo Qingyun immediately guessed what he was thinking. He raised his hand and sent a palm strike towards Yang Guolong. When Mo Qingyun raised his hand, a door of light with a mysterious aura shot out of his palm. The speed of the light gate was very fast. In the blink of an eye, it was in front of Yang Guolong and blasted into his body. You are a junior from the Heavenly Saint clan. Seeing Mo Qingyun's attack, Yang Wulong was so frightened that his face turned pale. He felt as though his soul had left his body. Mo Qingyun's attack had given rise to an instinctive thought that Mo Qingyun was from one of the 9 great Heavenly Saint clans. Yang Wulong was very clear about how powerful the 9 great Heavenly Saint clans were in the Heaven Realm. They were definitely one of the top forces. Before Mo Qingyun could answer Yang Wulong, the aura that Yang Wulong was emitting started to weaken rapidly. My cultivation. Sensing the rapid decline of his cultivation, Yang Wulong was terrified. He was even more afraid of Mo Qingyun now. In his memory, even the powerful 9 great Heavenly Saint clans didn't seem to possess such strength. In a short while, the aura that Yang Wulong emitted fell to the level of a heavenly god. After his cultivation fell to the level of a heavenly god, Yang Wulong felt even more despair. Based on the current situation, he couldn't even save Yang Wei and Yang Xie. He couldn't even save himself. Thinking of this, Yang Wulong didn't dare to act rashly. He hurriedly begged Mo Qingyun, "Young master, I was wrong. Please give me a chance. As long as you don't kill me, I'm willing to be your slave." Yang Wulong had no choice but to admit defeat. Although Mo Qingyun's cultivation wasn't high, his methods were too terrifying. More importantly, the 3 divine king powerhouses by Mo Qingyun's side gave him too great of a pressure. Mo Qingyun didn't soften his heart in the face of Yang Wulong's pleading. He said coldly, "After you die, I'll refine you into a ghost immortal. You'll be able to serve me better." After Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he waved his arm and ordered the ghost immortals to kill Yang Wulong. Facing the attacks of a few God King realm ghost immortals, even an expert like Yang Wulong was killed in the blink of an eye. Seeing that Yang Wulong was killed, Yang Wei and the other demons at the side revealed a look of despair. Even the God King Yang Wulong was killed by Mo Qingyun, let alone them. Chapter 3244. Before long, Yang Wei and the others had all been killed except for one heavenly god realm beast. Mo Qingyun hadn't killed the heavenly god realm beast of the 9-headed serpent palace because he still had some use for him. Lead the way. It was rare for Mo Qingyun to waste his breath, so he went straight to the point. Hearing Mo Qingyun's order, the heavenly god realm beast immediately led the way. Soon after, Mo Qingyun hurried toward the 9-headed serpent palace under his lead. The 9-headed serpent palace wasn't very far. Mo Qingyun only took a little more than 2 hours to reach it. Go tell them to leave the 9-headed serpent palace within 100 breaths and not to hide any treasures. Otherwise, they will be killed without mercy. Standing outside the 9-headed serpent palace, Missouri Qingyun's face was cold as he ordered the heavenly god realm powerhouse. Hearing Mo Qingyun's order, the heavenly god realm powerhouse of the 9-headed serpent palace immediately went to pass on the message. Before long, he led a group of demons out and respectfully asked for instructions from Mo Qingyun. Scram! In response to their request, Mo Qingyun waved his hand impatiently and ordered Gong Hanqing and the others. Since they don't want to leave, they can stay here forever. At Mo Qingyun's command, Gong Hanqing and the other demons entered the 9-headed serpent palace in a flash. Seeing this scene, the demons who had escaped from the 9-headed serpent palace were scared out of their wits. At this moment, they were all thankful that they hadn't stubbornly stayed behind to resist. Against 3 divine King Rel powerhouses, even Yang Wulong would be useless. Resisting was simply courting death. Before long, the demons who had stayed behind to resist were all killed by Gong Hanqing and the others. Aolai, go in and collect the spoils. Seeing that the demons of the 9-headed serpent palace had been killed, Mo Qingyun waved his hand and ordered Aolai to help him count the spoils. Upon hearing Mo Qingyun's instructions, Aolai did not hesitate and immediately flew into the 9-headed dragon palace. Upon seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, the demons of the 9-headed WIRM palace felt even more reverence for him. A powerful force with a divine king was destroyed in the blink of an eye by this young man. A short while later, Ao Lai came out of the palace and handed a storage ring to Mo Qingyun, saying, "Benefactor, I put everything in the palace into this storage ring." "Yes." Mo Qingyun nodded and accepted the storage ring. After destroying the nine-headed dragon palace, Missouri Qingyun didn't want to stay any longer. He took out the sword shadow flying ship and said, "Since the problem is solved, let's not waste any more time. Let's depart for the West Sea." Ao Lai, you're more familiar with the Sea of Dividing Worlds. You'll be in charge of controlling the flying ship. Ao Lai obeyed Mo Qingyun's order and replaced Mo Qingyun in controlling the flying ship. After handing over the task to Ao Lai, Mo Qingyun's figure disappeared in a flicker, entering the Fortune mainland. As for the remaining forces of the nine-headed WIRM palace, Missouri Qingyun didn't bother with them, leaving them to fend for themselves. Inside the Fortune mainland, the moment Mo Qingyun entered the Fortune mainland, he opened the storage ring given to him by Ao Lai to check his harvest. Yang Wulong was a God King realm master, and the nine-headed WRM palace had been operating for many years, thus his wealth was quite abundant. From Mo Qingyun's observation, the number of heaven crystals in his storage ring had reached over 60 million. Adding the 30 million plus heaven crystals in his storage ring, the number of heaven crystals in his storage ring had reached 100 million. A heaven general realm cultivator with more than 100 million heaven crystals in his storage ring. This news would scare many people. Other than the heaven crystals inside the nine-headed WRM Palace's treasury, there were also a lot of cultivation resources. Among these cultivation resources, most of them were alchemy resources, while smithing and refining arrays were scarce. Demonic beasts focused on body tempering. Thus, they didn't place much importance on weapons and armors. As for these alchemy materials, they weren't going to use them to refine pills, but to refine and absorb them directly. Although these items are valuable, they aren't easy to use at the moment. After categorizing these cultivation resources, Mo Qingyun put them away, planning to use them after he stabilized his cultivation base. With his current smithing and array refining skills, he had no use for these materials. More accurately, he didn't know how to use them. As for those alchemy materials, Mo Qingyun didn't plan to consume them directly. Instead, he planned to find a divine alchemist to refine them for him. After collecting the cultivation resources, Mo Qingyun didn't stop there. Looking at Yang Wolong's corpse, he thought, although this guy was only an early divine king, when he was alive, he was still a divine king powerhouse. Refining him into a specter god would be a considerable force. With this thought in mind, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate any longer and immediately began refining him. With the experience of the previous few times, Mo Qingyun became very familiar with the blood sacrifice refining Yang Wolong again. Next, Mo Qingyun cast aside all distracting thoughts and wholeheartedly focused on refining Yang Wolong. While Mo Qingyun was refining Yang Wolong, a shocking piece of news spread in the eastern sea of the divine domain. Inside the evil dragon palace. What? The nine-headed WIRM palace was destroyed? Hearing his subordinates report, Nie Quanghong's eyes widened in disbelief. He had fought Yang Wolong for thousands of years, so he was well aware of Yang Wolong's abilities and methods. He definitely wasn't easy to deal with. Now that he knew Yang Wolong had been killed, how could he not be shocked? Of course, Nie Quanghong was more worried than shocked. In his opinion, if the other party could kill Yang Wolong, they could deal with him as well. The evil dragon palace wasn't far from the nine-headed WIRM palace. If they destroyed the nine-headed WRM palace and wanted to expand their territory, it wouldn't be long before they attacked the evil dragon palace. If that was the case, what should he do? Thinking of this, Nie Quanghong's face tightened. He asked the several commanders below, "Have you found out who destroyed the nine-headed WRM palace?" Hearing Nie Quanghong's question, Commander Wu Zhang's face turned pale. He trembled and said, "Palace Master, According to the information we've gathered, the person who destroyed the nine-headed WRM palace seems to be Mr. Mo. Which Mr. Mo? Knowing Mo Qingyun's strength, Nie Kuanghong instinctively ignored Mo Qingyun when he heard the report. Seeing Nie Kuanghong's reaction, Wu Zhang and the other commanders weren't surprised. They were the same at first. Immediately, Wu Zhang explained, "Palace Master, it's Mr. Mo that I brought back. Although the result is shocking, it's the truth. It's him." Hearing Wu Zhang's explanation, Nie Kuanghong's expression changed. He said in shock, "I didn't expect that I would be wrong. He actually controlled this battle force. He hid it so well. No wonder he directly refused when I offered to escort him. Yang Guolong's death at the hands of such a person isn't too unjust. But it's also a good thing for us." Nie Kuanghong was shocked, but he also felt lucky that he hadn't offended Mo Qingyun before. Immediately, Nie Kuanghong began to order people to take over the nine-headed WRM Palace's territory. Chapter 3245 Celestial Realm, Donglai Archipelago, Heaven-Killing Guild's Branch. At that moment, there were a few godly kings with powerful auras sitting in the meeting hall of the Heaven Slayer Association. If Mo Qingyun was here, he would definitely recognize God King Xinghe. Looking at the middle-aged man sitting at the top of the hall, God King Xing, he said humbly, "Branch Leader Guan Peng, we've come to you to ask for your help in finding someone." Upon hearing Xinghe's request, Guan Peng smiled politely and said, "Brother Xinghe, you are too polite. You could have just sent someone to inform me that you were looking for someone. Why didn't you come here personally?" Xinghe chuckled at Guan Peng's words. He pointed at Wang Guoqiong and said, "I'm here to bring Palace Lord Wan here." Oh, Guan Peng was curious. He turned to look at Wang Guoqiong with curiosity in his eyes. As a god king, Guan Peng had noticed Wang Guoqiong the moment she entered the Heaven-Killing Guild's branch. A divine king came to ask them for information. This was a big deal. "Palace Lord Wan, nice to meet you." Guan Peng cupped his hands politely and greeted Wang Guoqiong. "Palace Lord Wan, may I know why you've come to me?" "Branch Leader Guan, you're too polite." Wang Guoqiong waved her hand modestly. "I've come to you to ask for your help in finding a Heaven General Brat." "A Heaven General Brat?" Guan Peng was shocked by Wang Guoqiong's words. He looked at Xinghe in confusion. Xinghe and Wang Guoqiong were god kings, but they couldn't even catch a Heaven General Brat. This was too strange. At this moment, he couldn't help but think that Xinghe and Xinghe were toying with him. Xinghe guessed Guan Peng's thoughts when he saw his expression change. "Brother Guan Peng, don't misunderstand. Although this brat's cultivation isn't high, he's extremely cunning and has many tricks up his sleeve. He's not easy to deal with. Palace Lord Wan's son was ambushed by that brat when he went out and was captured. According to our investigation, he seems to have escaped to the Celestial Realm, which is why we came to you to inquire about him." Hearing Xinghe's words, Guan Peng's expression improved a bit and he became interested. A heavenly general had shaken off the pursuit of two god kings and even crossed a region to escape. This kind of ability was extremely rare. From the looks of it, that brat does have some ability. Knowing Mo Qingyun's situation, Guan Peng frowned and said, "We're acquaintances. That kid's cultivation isn't high, but he can escape from right under your noses. He's no ordinary person. He should have some special methods. It's not easy to find such a person. We'll have to use a lot of manpower." After hearing Guan Peng's words, how could Xinghe and the other two not understand his intentions? Guan Peng said so much just to raise the price and make Wang Guoqiong pay more heaven crystals. To reach the Madman Divine Sect, we need to pass through the Eastern Lai Islands and then the Eastern Brilliance Divine Land. Mo Qingyun thought about it for a moment. He now had a clear direction for the next route he should take. Then, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and immediately led Ao Lai on the way. Just as Ao Lai had guessed, they entered the Eastern Lai Islands in 2 hours. With Mo Qingyun's current cultivation, he could easily survive in any kind of environment. However, he was still not used to staying in the water for several months. Now that he was back on the ground, he wanted to recuperate. He said, "Let's go to the Eastern Sun Island in front and recuperate for a while before setting off for the Eastern Brilliance Divine Land." Hearing Mo Qingyun's order, Ao Lai did not hesitate and immediately headed to the Eastern Sun Island. Chapter 3246. East Sun Island wasn't very big. Mo Qingyun stood in the air and took in everything with a single glance. On East Sun Island, there was only one huge city surrounded by towns. Mo Qingyun took a quick glance at East Sun Island and took in everything there was to see. Then, he flew straight towards the city. Compared to the surrounding towns, the city had more complete facilities and was more convenient to live in. Mo Qingyun's figure flashed a few times before he arrived in front of the city. East Sun City. Mo Qingyun walked in after glancing at the sign on the city gate. As soon as he arrived at the city gate, Mo Qingyun felt like he was being watched. This feeling made Mo Qingyun feel very strange. He couldn't help but look around. He had just arrived in East Sun City, but he was already being watched. This was really too strange. Mo Qingyun looked around and didn't discover anyone hiding in the dark, watching his movements. Although he didn't discover anyone watching him, Mo Qingyun was still cautious and carefully guarded his surroundings. "Let's go in." After instructing Ao Lai, Mo Qingyun walked forward and entered East Sun City. Mo Qingyun entered East Sun City and found an inn to stay in. After settling down in the inn, Mo Qingyun looked at Ao Lai beside him and thought for a moment before asking, "Ao Lai, are you from the barbarian demon tribe or the intelligent demon tribe? If you're from the intelligent demon tribe, then take human form. That way, you won't attract too much attention." Ao Lai shook his head after hearing Mo Qingyun's question. "Benefactor, the demon tribe of the divine realm's sea of boundaries is neither barbarian demon nor intelligent demon tribe. We're between them." After explaining his situation to Mo Qingyun, Ao Lai began to transform into a half-human, half-demon form. Although it's not a complete human form, it's better this way. Mo Qingyun nodded in satisfaction as he looked at Ao Lai. He said, "You must have worked hard during this period of time. Go rest early." Ao Lai nodded and left the room. Dongyang City. In the meeting hall of the Heaven Killer Association, a short middle-aged man came over with a nervous look on his face. "Lord Deacon, we found the person the division leader is looking for." As soon as the middle-aged man entered the hall, he excitedly reported to the people at the top of the hall. Hearing this person's words, the middle-aged man at the top of the hall was delighted and asked, "Where is he?" The short middle-aged man reported, "Not long ago, he came to Dongyang City. Because I was discovered by him, I quickly left to report his news. If I'm not mistaken, he should be staying in the city. It'll be easy to ask about his whereabouts." The deacon was delighted when he heard the short middle-aged man's words. He said, "In that case, I'll report to the division leader immediately. You guys go and ask about the inn he's staying at." After Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he did not wait for the other party to speak before he lifted his hand and grabbed the other party's head. Then, Mo Qingyun searched his soul and stripped his memory. Under Mo Qingyun's forceful search, the short, middle-aged man's memory was read bit by bit. The Killer Society. After knowing the other party's identity, Mo Qingyun's face turned cold, and he emitted a cold, murderous intent. Since the other party wanted to do business with him, they should be prepared for revenge. "Let's go to the Killer Society." Without hesitation, Mo Qingyun brought Ao Lai along and rushed to the Killer Society's branch. The Killer Society's branch was easy to identify. Mo Qingyun arrived there in a short while. Destroy them. After arriving at the Killer Society's branch, Mo Qingyun did not hesitate and immediately ordered Yang Guolong and the other demons. Then, they charged into the Heaven Killer Association and massacred their members. The most powerful deacon in the Killer Society's branch on East Sun Island was only a quasi-god king expert. With their abilities, they were no match for Gong Han Qing and the other demons. After a short while, the Killer Society's branch on East Sun Island was completely massacred. Xingyi pondered for a moment before he walked over to Guanpeng and said, "Brother Guanpeng, does the East Sun Island branch of the Sky Killer Association have any enemies here?" Hearing Xingyi's question, Guanpeng thought for a moment before replying, "I've never heard of them. The East Sun Island is just a remote place. Even if they have any enemies, I don't think they would dare act rashly." After hearing the answer from Guanpeng, Xingyi was even more certain of his guess. He said, "In that case, if I'm not wrong, it should be someone from the East Sun Island branch who was discovered when they were following Mo Qingyan. This is that kid's revenge." Xingyi's words made Guanpeng's expression darken. He was enraged. Guanpeng was enraged because Xingyi and the other two had brought him so much trouble. He was also furious at Mo Qingyan's actions. A kid with a Heaven General cultivation base had actually dared to destroy the Heaven Killing Society's branch. This was simply too audacious. Of course, while Guanpeng was furious, he also had some doubts. Mo Qingyan was only a Heaven General. How could he have destroyed the East Sun Island branch? When he thought of this, Guanpeng's gaze towards the Xingyi duo immediately became somewhat unfriendly. He said, "The two of you, is Mo Qingyan really a heavenly general? Are the two of you hiding something from me?" Originally, Guanpeng had been wondering how a junior with a Heaven General cultivation base had managed to escape from two God Kings. Now that something like this had happened, his suspicions immediately grew even stronger. Wang Guiqiong snorted gently when she saw Guanpeng's reaction. She was rather displeased. She seemed to be displeased with Guanpeng and had shifted his anger onto them. Xingyi frowned slightly. After a moment of thought, he said, "Brother Guanpeng, given our relationship, is there a need for me to fall out with you over this?" Guanpeng's expression improved slightly when he heard Xingyi's words. He felt that Xingyi was right. Although he no longer doubted Xingyi and the other two, Guanpeng's expression was still ugly. He said, "But how do you explain this? He destroyed the East Sun Island branch all by himself?" Branch leader Guanpeng, "We're only guessing whether or not it was Mo Qingyan who did it. Brother Guanpeng, there should be some secrets behind this. Let's investigate it immediately." The three of them discussed for a while. They no longer hesitated and began investigating the secrets behind this matter. While Guanpeng and the other two were investigating, Mo Qingyan had already left East Sun Island on the flying boat. The Heaven Slayer Association is really rich. A small branch has close to 200 million heaven crystals. Mo Qingyan was pleasantly surprised when he counted the Heaven Slayer Association spoils. He was very satisfied with his gains this time. Chapter 3248. Seems like I'm being followed again. When Mo Qingyan entered the inn, he frowned as he sensed that something was wrong. After a short moment of surprise, Mo Qingyan did not care anymore as he knew who was following him. If he was not mistaken, the person who was following him was definitely from the Heaven Slayer Association. He had already done some research on the Heaven Slayer Association in the Eastern Lai Islands. The strongest chief was only at the mid-Divine King realm, so he was not much of a threat to him. If the other party did not know what was good for him, Mo Qingyan did not mind teaching him a lesson. When Mo Qingyan walked into the inn, Ao Lai went to arrange the accommodations and ordered some food and wine. After scanning the inn's hall, Mo Qingyan realized that there was only one table left in the hall. My luck is not bad. There's actually the last table. Seeing that there was only one table left, Mo Qingyan smiled faintly as he walked to the table and sat down leisurely. When Mo Qingyan sat down, he could hear every single word that was being said in the hall. The reason why he sat down in the hall was that he was very interested in the conversation. The inheritance left behind by the supreme divinity of the Ghoul sect 30 million years ago has been unearthed. It's a pity that only the people of the Dark Heaven Holy Gate can enter the place of inheritance. I heard that the people of the Dark Heaven Holy Gate are very interested in the cave of the master of the Ghoul sect. Of course, With the inheritance of the supreme divinity of the Ghoul sect, becoming a divine emperor is almost guaranteed. Anyway, no matter what, we won't have a share. Everyone was talking at the same time. Hearing everyone's words, the interest on Mo Qingyun's face immediately became stronger. His bloodline also contained a trace of the bloodline of the Dark Heaven Holy Gate. Logically speaking, he also had a chance to enter. When Mo Qingyun was thinking about this, he also thought of Enchun. He thought to himself, I wonder if Enchun has come to the heavenly divine realm. If he knows about the inheritance of the supreme divinity of the Ghoul sect, will he rush over? At this moment, Mo Qingyun couldn't help but feel a little regretful that Enchun wasn't with him. If Enchun was with him, Enchun would be able to obtain some benefits from the Cabinet Door God's inheritance. At this moment, while Mo Qingyun was pondering, Ao Lai had taken care of the accommodations and food. Mo Qingyun continued to listen to the conversations of the people around him. Not long after, the dishes and wine that Ao Lai had ordered were all delivered. When the dishes were served, Mo Qingyun ate while listening to the conversations of the people around him. While Mo Qingyun was listening to the conversations of the crowd, a group of fairy-like, otherworldly, and elegant women wearing long white couches walked into the inn.